Socialism Saturday, guys. I feel like I've upped my socialism garb. I am now wearing kerchiefs and things. I haven't worn this in years, and I'm wearing it because my hair is finally growing out and it's keeping it out of my face. And I was like, this is total communism garb right here, like makeupless face. We can't wear makeup on Socialism Saturday. We can't, because the socialists and the communists don't wear makeup. Almost never do they wear makeup, even the women. And so we have to bring out our extra socialism garb in celebration. And I got to tell you guys, I think we've got a good episode tonight, because I was looking for some new stuff. I was like, we can only watch Red May so much. We can only watch Haymarket Books so much, although inevitably we will go back to those things. But I have a selection tonight. And you guys are going to be, this is going to be a participatory activity for Socialism Saturday. If you are new to Socialism Saturday, this is a time where we take the relaxing break from the real world and we watch actual dystopia unfold right in front of us. And we watch real socialists and real communists, not CNN socialists, not AOC, not any of these fake socialists. We watch the real ones, the real deal, the ones who are saying the craziest, most dystopian things that you will hear on the entire internet. And the reason that we watch them is because they're winning. They are influencing our culture better than any other group. And we know this because things these people were saying like 5 years ago are now making their way into mainstream talking points. And so you may dismiss these people as crazy, but let us remember that these people are, in fact, winning. They're kicking all of our asses. And so even though they are saying the most crazy and dystopian things in the world, we probably should pay attention to them, because we're going to see the things that they're saying show up in mainstream culture. And I just think we should be aware. Listen, I don't want to wake up one day and be surprised when we inevitably lose to the farthest of the far left. I don't want to wake up one day and be surprised. I want to know what's coming. I want to be able to plan for it. Red Room Diecast says, Carlin isn't wearing a proper babushka. She is not a true communist. She is grifting. You know what? You know what's funny is we actually have Victor. So for those who don't know, my husband is actually from Ukraine. His family's from Ukraine. And his family is like is in the Russian speaking part of Ukraine. And you know, they've always had kind of, I don't necessarily think his father is thrilled that Ukraine broke off from the USSR. I don't think that that was actually something that he was happy about. And so anyway, I say this because Victor's family has sent us like authentic stuff over the years. And so we do have like the babushka nesting dolls. We've got all sorts of communist shit. Yes, babushka does mean grandmother. It does. It's like, I know what you're saying though. It's the kerchief. It's the kerchief. I knew what you were getting at. Anyway, so today we're going to be watching. We have a choice. We have an option. And because we've recently come off the midterms, we have finally counted the votes in some of the races. We pretty much know where things stand. I thought it would be fun to get the socialist or communist reaction to the midterms. And so I have two choices that we can choose from. And we could conceivably watch both. Like, I'm not opposed to it. We could go an extra long stream tonight if you guys wanted. But let me show you. Option number one is we have the Democratic Socialists of America, the actual party, and they have a DSA national post-election call where they're going to talk about, I think, their lessons learned and their campaign strategy and what they're going to do moving forward. So we can watch the Democratic Socialists of America reaction to the election and what their plans are. That's option number one. Okay. Option number two is let's go over to the Communist Party of America. Yes, the real communists, the real deal. And did you guys know that the Communist Party of America has like a weekly YouTube show called Good Morning Revolution? And they have they have a couple different reaction streams. I think that this one here, Good Morning Revolution, get ready for GOP Ugly Edition. I would love to watch this. I would love it. And then they actually just did one yesterday about election and strike edition. They also have this one right here. This one is called Don't Underestimate the Fascist Danger edition. I would like to watch that one too. So, and these are short. The communist ones are only half an hour long. So we could conceivably watch a couple of communist ones. So I want to put a poll in the chat. I'm leaving it up to you guys. Do you want to start with, and then we can kind of see where it goes. Do you want to start with the Democratic Socialists of America, their DSA national post-election call, or do you want to start with the communists? It's entirely up to you guys. Let me know what you think. Poll in the chat right now. And while you guys are taking your poll, I just want to talk to you about a couple upcoming things that I have for my audience that I'm really excited about. Number one, we tomorrow in my supporter Discord are watching They Live. If you have never seen They Live, you need to see They Live. They Live is not only a fabulous movie, it has the longest fight scene in cinematic history. It is one of Rowdy Roddy Piper's finest accomplishments when he was on this earth. It is also highly, 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 highly relevant, not only to this dystopian realities that we will watch tonight, but it is highly relevant to the times in which we live today. Everyone needs to go and watch They Live. It is required viewing, and we are viewing it tomorrow night in my supporter Discord, and you can join us. I will tell you how in a second, but just keep that in mind. We also have coming up Unabomber Book Club in my supporter Discord on December 3rd. Now, I have to tell you, yesterday and then today, I've actually been watching a lot of documentaries about the Unabomber. And I'm getting more and more excited for the Unabomber Book Club because we're going to be reading his manifesto. It's about 30,000 words, so it's going to be that's a relatively quick read. You can find it online anywhere, so you don't even need to buy it or anything. But we're going to be reading the Unabomber's manifesto, and we're going to be talking about it on December 3rd in my community. And I'm so excited about this conversation. I was excited before, but I'm even actually more excited now to talk about this because even in these documentaries I'm watching, so many people are saying, yeah, he killed people and that's bad, but his ideas are not bad. And isn't it kind of a shame that he had to ruin good ideas by, being a serial killer? I also found out, do you know Ted Kaczynski's still alive? He's like 80 years old. He's in prison. And fun fact, if you write to Ted Kaczynski in prison, he might actually write back to you. There are people all over the internet who have written letters to Ted Kaczynski and he does respond to them. I don't know. I said to Victor last night, I was like, maybe I should try to write Ted Kaczynski in prison and just see what happens. I mean, he's 80 years old, but he's in prison. Like, what else does he have to do? I think you should be respectful if you write him, but like, I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. Probably things I shouldn't say on the internet, if I'm honest about it, but it could be a cool experiment. Anyway, we're both doing both those things in my community. We're doing movie night tomorrow in the supporter Discord. We're doing Unabomber Book Club coming up. And if you want to join my community, there are a couple ways that you can get access to both those things. Number one, you can join my Patreon. You can head over to activelyunwoke.com/support if you want to get information about that. The link is in the description below. And you can join my Patreon anywhere from $5 a month all the way up to $250 a month, depending on how much you like me on any given day and how much you want to support my work. $5 a month will get you into those activities, though. If you want to give more, you can get some cool swag, some other cool perks, stuff like that. If Patreon's not your thing, that's totally cool. You can also become a member of my Locals community. Locals is $5 a month, $50 a year. You can also make a one-time gift through there. And both of those things are going to get you into my supporter Discord. In addition, if you become a member on my YouTube channel, the one you're watching probably right now, unless you're watching on Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, Gitter, Facebook, wherever else I'm streaming right now, if you're on my YouTube channel, just become a member on the channel. And I'm going to send out a link to the supporter Discord tomorrow for movie night. So all of those things will get you into the supporter Discord. You'll be able to join us for movie night, book club, all of our activities, to include doing 2 Zoom calls every single week where we are private, unrecorded, talk about whatever we want, whatever is clever for you. I totally understand, McIntyre family. Don't worry about it. I'm sure the day will come where you're able to, and then you can join us for our activities. But I do like to have perks as a special thank you for people who are supporting my work, because I really, really, really do appreciate you guys. So Patreon, locals, YouTube membership, entirely up to you. All right, let's see. Oh, it looks like you guys want the communists. You guys want the communists. All right, so we're going to do communists, and we might come back and do the DSA too. For people who voted socialism, we might come back and do that too. So let's start off and just see what we have here. Let's see. Let me get the sound set up. So we've got a couple of them. So this one is going to be the under. I kind of want to start with this one where, let me know if you guys think this is a good idea in the chat. This one right here, don't underestimate the fascist danger edition. I think that's a pre-election stream, so before the election. And then I think get ready for GOP ugly edition is post-election. So I kind of honestly would like to watch this don't underestimate the fascist danger edition, just because I'm curious. It's only half an hour long. And then I want to go and I want to watch the Get Ready for GOP Ugly Edition. Does that sound okay to everyone? Like, let me know in the chat what you think. Mount that like button if you agree with that plan. I'm just really interested to see what socialists consider to be fascist danger, just because I think that might be informative to us. Okay, it seems like you guys are on board with that. So let's do that. And these are only half an hour long. Okay. These are only half an hour long, so we should be able to get through a couple of them. Let me see. Actually, let me see. Brazil's elections. Okay. They're doing something about Cuba, affirmative action, and mailbag. So I'm actually interested to see. So have you guys, by the way, has anyone seen the protests going on in Brazil? Obviously, I can't say, like, obviously, I'm sure the election in Brazil was perfectly decided, and the communist definitely won the election. And there was obviously no cheating involved in the election in Brazil at all, even though they nullified like 5 million votes and the communist only won by 2 million. There was no, the elections in Brazil were absolutely perfect. No one should say otherwise. Definitely not the absolutely massive protests that are going on in Brazil right now. Absolutely fucking massive. If you guys haven't seen videos of this, like, we're talking, just because millions and millions of people are protesting the election results in Brazil doesn't mean at all that those elections were rigged. Of course they weren't. They were perfectly decided. But I'm interested to hear what the communists have to say. Yeah, I mean, I understand not everyone's interested in Brazil, and I haven't been following it closely, but the protests are impressively massive. Like, I've never seen anything like this. So it's just interesting to see what's going on, and I want to hear what the communists have to say about it. So let's get started, guys. Welcome to Socialism Saturday. We're watching Real Communists tonight. Mount that like button. We are starting with Don't Underestimate the Fascist Danger.
To our show, everyone. We've got a lot to talk about this morning. We're talking the big victory of Lula.
Lula is the guy who won in Brazil.
Left-led coalition. We're going to be talking about the meeting of the International Communist and Workers' Parties that just concluded in Havana, and our very own Rosana Cambron led our delegation there. We're also going to be talking about the affirmative action case before the Supreme Court. Seems like it's on life support. And then finally, mailbag questions. And
the affirmative action case in the Supreme Court, just so you know, this is something we all should be watching very closely, because this is essentially deciding if Harvard can use race as a determining factor in admissions. So we're going to hear what the communists think about that, but we all need to be watching that case closely.
Comment on what's not so new, unfortunately, in today's news. But welcome, Gary. We're very happy to see you.
I'm excited.
You've been in Brazil. Come again?
I said I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, man. We Gary's been living in Brazil for several years. He got married, moved down there with his partner. His gain was our loss. He was formerly in Boston. But now he's been down there for a minute and has been working with the Communist Party there for
Thank you,
throughout
Jason.
his stay, and had a hand in the big electoral victory. I imagine you're smiling from ear to ear, Gary, at Lula's victory. Tell us a little bit about it. Did you think that he was going to win in the first round?
We did not, I mean, I did not think so because the polls were pretty close. Lula was able to get, he got 48% and he was polling like 46. We were hoping for a victory in the first round.
And there were, how many other candidates were running in that round? Did other parties draw votes away from Lula?
There were 12 other candidates that were in the race. There are 23 parties here. Several of those, 10 of those parties pulled their candidates and endorsed Lula. And 3 endorsed Bolsonaro. The rest stayed in the race. And I think there were some that pulled some votes away.
Now in Brazil, voting is mandatory, isn't it? It's a little bit
Voting is mandatory in
the
Brazil?
United States. Everybody is required to vote under penalty of getting a fine or something like that.
Really?
How does that work exactly?
Well, it's.
Do you guys think that would be a good idea or a bad idea? I mean, I'm not arguing that voting should be mandatory, but like, I do wonder if our election results would be different if people were required to choose. I can see both positive and negative. I'm not arguing in favor of it. I'm just saying it's an interesting idea. I didn't realize Brazil had that. Why is it a bad idea to make voting mandatory? It's mandatory in Australia too. I'm honestly asking. I don't understand. Well, yeah, I agree with that, but like, I mean, when we live in a country where half the people don't vote, and we end up with clowns all the time because half the people don't vote. I don't know.
It's set up around religion. You go to church on Sunday morning early, and then you go vote. And then the polls close around 5:30. And by
Right.
9 o'clock,
Santa was a communist. Who knew?
Electronically.
He was redistributing wealth around the world.
Connected to the internet, so they can't be hacked from the outside.
Voting machines would never be hacked. What are you talking
it's
about?
A
That would
very
never happen.
System. They did fine people until a year ago. The legislature lifted the fine. The fine was too real.
They already are.
Nothing, but it was.
They already are.
Idea of forcing people in. But the participation was like 97% of the voters voted. And
wow, 97%. That's really huge. Now, I understand that the candidate who ran with Lula, that was part of this left center coalition, had ran against him before. And he comes from a centrist party, is that correct?
Yes. And in the selection, his centrist party lost like 20 seats in the state, in the federal Congress.
And the Communist Party of Brazil was part of that coalition. Did they win seats? How did they fare? How did our sister party fare?
We picked up a couple of seats. I'm going through and analyzing the winners and losers because.
So the communists in Brazil are actually winning elections. Like literal members of the Communist Party in Brazil are winning elections. Oh, good. What could possibly go wrong? My apologies for anyone who lives in Brazil. I guess I knew that I didn't realize that actual members of the actual Communist Party in Brazil were actually being voted into office. I didn't realize that.
It's going to be a close, with the coalition, it's going to be close in the Congress. So it's going to be like Biden is having with a narrow victory there, I think. But Lula's pretty good. He's a damn good negotiator. And I think that because of the coalition he put together, and I think because of his skills from the trade unions, he'll be able to get a victory, but it may take like the first year of his administration to do that. But
We'd
he has
like
a
to
lot of
invite we'd like to invite Rosanna and Anita to ask a question. But while they're thinking about it, I'm just wondering, Gary, what kind of impact will that the center forces have on the ability of the Lula government to enact reforms that will benefit the working class and people? Because your comment about the closeness is of the balance of forces in the country is a concern, no?
For gimme dads.
No, it is a very
I like
big
that,
concern.
Andre.
In fact, the transition team met yesterday and is starting to meet to make the transition with the incumbent administration. I'm sure, and I don't know this for a fact, but I am sure, knowing Lula, he is working on that coalition in the Congress to strengthen it. He has a lot of power to order things. For instance, when he was elected the first time, he canceled the very first act right after he took the oath was he canceled an order for 60 jet planes, took the money and put it into a fund to feed hungry people.
Money for jobs, not for war. That's one of the battle cries of our movement. But what about the danger from the right? You know, there was a concern that Bolsonaro was going to do a Trump and refuse to give up office. And you sent me a note the other day that said that the truckers were blocking the roads and impeding traffic and preventing people from going. Is that still going on?
The truckers in Brazil are revolting?
It ended last night at the request
of the
funny. Federal government. Bolsonaro did not make a comment, but his spokesperson contacted the federal military police and ordered them to clear the highways. And so at least in our area, in the Valley of Steel, the highways are cleared. I don't know about Sao Paulo. There have been some reactions because in some states they moved the trucks, but they didn't move the people. They moved the people to the side of the road so they could still demonstrate. So it's confusing. I mean, we only have 27 states, but there's a lot of highway.
Why do you think they immediately asked for the trucks, you know, to remove the trucks and essentially end the attempt to demonstrate against the elections?
Well,
what was the motivator?
I think the motivation was the feeling that
welcome Red Room Diecast.
But I mean, Bolsonaro's party picked up.
So, by the way, I want to say this, and I probably should have prefaced this at the beginning. For everyone who's new to Socialism Saturday, it seems as though these people, at least, are speaking in plain English, which is a nice improvement from some of the other streams. But I just want to say, number one, socialists and communists generally speak in a completely different language than, like, everyone else on the planet. You might be speaking English, but that doesn't mean you're always going to understand the words coming out of their mouth. Like I said, this one is okay so far. It's easier to understand than most of the ones we've watched. It may stay that way. It may not stay that way. We're just going to have to see. But the reason I bring that up is because if you have ideas about things that they're saying, or ways that you're interpreting it, please chat it in. I do watch the chat as the show is going on, and I will display really smart and insightful comments on the stream because I feel like this is an interactive activity where we can all learn from this experience, and I kind of feel like I'm just facilitating the learning. That's all I'm doing. So if you have ideas about what they're saying, please chat it in and share it with the class so that we can all learn from your unique insight. Secondly, if you feel like you don't understand them, it's okay. You are not alone. Oh, captions. Yes, I will put on captions. Absolutely. If you feel like you don't understand what they're saying, it is perfectly normal when you first start watching this stuff, okay? So stick around. It's kind of like an immersive experience. After a while, you will learn to interpret what they're saying. You will learn it just like you would learn French if you were living in France. Patrick asked, where can I go to learn their secret language when they speak differently? Here. You just have to listen to it. It'll start to make sense to you after a while. I promise. I know it's a little bit of a learning curve, but the very best way to learn this stuff is just to listen to it and to process what they're saying and to not reserve judgment. Don't say these people are stupid or they're crazy. Okay, they might be both stupid and crazy, but we need to listen to them and we need to understand them if we're going to be able to beat them, okay? So just hang out, grab a drink. In fact, I'm going to pour myself a beer right now. And if you're drinking something fun, please share what you're drinking in the chat. And I've turned on captions for people who need them. Thank you for the reminder.
A lot of seats. It's sort of like the fascist party in Paris.
I have a
France.
blueberry ale.
They picked up seats this time. What's his name? Steve Bannon has been traveling the world promoting this. And he's
Steve Bannon.
With Bolsonaro the last 2 years.
Really?
And Bolsonaro has been following the manual laid out by Trump step by step, right behind him. The demonstration was stopped basically because business in this country decided they want to move their products. And so it was their push to the governors and to the police to clear that highway, get people moving, because we cannot tolerate this. PT and the rest of the parties reported it, but nobody asked for it to end. They wanted to play it out.
When you say PT, you're talking about the Workers' Party, right?
The Workers' Party.
Lula's party.
Lula's party. And our party too. I mean, the three parties that began at the very beginning of Lula's campaign was the PCWB and the Green Party. And you remember 4 years ago, PCWB had the vice president's position, which I was impressed that 45% of the country voted for a communist. Coming from the US, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Absolutely. That's a damn good percentage. In some places, that would win you the election.
Yeah.
Kind of depending on the system of voting. Well, Gary, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I imagine, Rosanna, that when you were in Havana at the International Conference of the Communist and Workers' Party, that there was excitement was in the air about the potential for a victory in Brazil. But I think that the election took place on Sunday as you were returning. Isn't that the case?
Yes, that was the case. I was waiting in the airport and we were starting to see the returns. The very first returns were showing that Bolsonaro was winning, but this was
how much you want to bet that that young white kid that just joined went to Harvard or something?
I was happy to hear that once I landed here to hear that Lula had won.
So you landed here.
They're so low energy.
Well,
they're so low energy. Like these guys won. These guys won. This is something that's so striking to me. These guys won a major election. They got people actually, not even just the president of Brazil. They got actual members of the Communist Party elected into office. These guys won, and yet they're so incredibly low energy about it. It truly is like these people have no life in them. That's one of the most striking things to me about watching Socialism Saturday. These people have no life. They have no joy. They're just like, even when they win, they're so like, yes, and this is really great. They're robotic. It's like they're being assimilated into the Borg already and they don't even know it.
Accomplishment. Tell us about the conference. I see you met the president of Cuba during the event, and how many people were, what did he have to say? I know he gave a speech, and how were you received? And just give us some impressions about the your stay.
Well, it's the International Meeting of Communist and Workers' Parties, and we meet every year, and it consists of parties, Marxist-Leninist parties and workers' parties throughout the world. And we...
Let me see. Jason has a question in the chat. Carlin, why do you think they're so low energy? Well, there's nothing outside of communism, so what do you expect? I think they're low energy because they don't create anything in their life. Listen, I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke: The Ultimate Guide to Fighting Back Against the Woke Insanity in Your Life, and it's a little bit like kitsch in the title, but I do actually make serious points in the book, and one of the things I harp on is that people, when I say the word woke, I mean authoritarian. I don't mean left, I don't mean right, I mean authoritarian. These people absolutely qualify as woke. They're absolute authoritarians. And I think one of the reasons that people get sucked into mindsets like this, and I talk about this in the book, is there is a difference between creators and destroyers. Creators give value to the world. They build things, they create things. Elon Musk is a creator. These people are destroyers. They don't have the self-esteem or self-worth to believe that they have anything valuable to offer the world, so they simply destroy everything around them. Human beings cannot be fulfilled or live a fulfilled life unless they are giving value to the world, unless they are in service to other people. These people are not in service to other people. These people want every single thing handed to them. They want it given to them. They don't have the self-worth to believe that they can go out and earn it themselves. That's why. It's because they're destroyers, they're not creators.
Sort of share
There
some
is,
of the things that are happening in our...
I promise you, there is not a single empowered creator in the world that wants to be a communist. Yeah, this is very Atlas Shrugs. Absolutely. There is not a single empowered person who is creating things in the world that wants to be a communist.
Country, some of the concerns, and we tried to come out with a statement, a unifying statement, which we did, mostly declaring you, and we're anti-imperialist. We're going to work towards anti-imperialist issues. The U.S., of course, was the number one, is the number one imperialist country that goes around the world and thinks that it can dictate everybody else's going on in their country. There was 60 countries represented. Not all countries are able to attend because some of them are under financial restraints and things like that, or they're busy with whatever issues are going on. We did get to meet the president of Cuba. He talked about the different things that are happening in Cuba, what happened during the COVID. Their economy, of course, has suffered quite a bit, even more so than before. But they waged a campaign to say, we've got to join together and
isn't that
figure
funny?
this out together.
Jolene, isn't that funny? Book title behind her is "You Only Get What You Are Organized to Take." Isn't that funny? And that actually goes along with American Legends question. Does that indicate that cheating is normal to them? The phrase "rely on the voting system." They would never cheat. No one ever cheats in elections, American Legend. All elections everywhere are perfect, and any insinuation that they are not is simply not welcome on this platform. We're going to be adults about this, and we're going to recognize that all elections everywhere are universally perfect. obviously. But yeah, good spot. Good spot on that one. They certainly do take what they want. Let's see. Let me see. Leftists in this country are busy taking their supporters and orbiters on Potemkin village tours of Cuba. I'm going to be honest, I would kind of like to go to Cuba. I want to see for myself.
Work together, maintain the unity, and also try to focus the plans.
Well, this isn't, hang on, not that one. Sorry. This one is an interesting question. Just out of curiosity, I wonder if there's a gender difference as to whether a man or woman might prefer communism. I'll be honest, we see about a 50-50 split on Socialism Saturday. There's trans people too. Um, I don't, I have not seen a significant leaning one way or the other. What distresses me more than that is seeing that mostly men prefer libertarianism. Women don't like it. And I understand why women don't like it, by the way. Women are shit on aggressively in libertarian culture, like much more than men. A man and a woman can say literally exactly the same thing in libertarian culture, and the woman will get shit on aggressively, and no one will say anything about the man. So I totally understand it, and I think it's bullshit, and I really think the libertarians are stupid for behaving that way because they drive a lot of people away. But insofar as like the socialists and the communists, we've seen about a 50-50 split. So I don't think there's a significant difference there. Mick says, this is absolutely brilliant. I'm glad you are doing this because you get a bird's eye view of the people destroying the world. Well, that's exactly correct, Mick. That's why we do Socialism Saturday. Because I want to see what they're saying, because these people have such hubris. They say everything. The problem is no one actually watches their content. A woman is the head of the LP, but that doesn't mean that women are not shit on universally in libertarian culture. I'm sorry. Angela has been... You think that Angela hasn't been shit on 19 Ways from Sunday? Have you seen the things they say about Angela? Have you seen the things that other libertarians say about Angela? Angela is shit on every single day of the week. And she is shit on far harder than Joshua Smith is. I'm sorry. She is. Joshua Smith, who is the vice chair of the Libertarian National Party, is I love him. I love him to death. I really do. I adore Joshua Smith. Joshua Smith is way more of a loudmouth than Angela is, and Angela gets shit on constantly.
With the youth in mind, because many of the youth have not experienced the revolution as others have, and so they're receiving a lot of anti-Cuba propaganda, kind of pointing that the revolution was...
Seriously, Barb.
Cuba was better before the revolution and things like that. It's all, once again,
no,
it's that
you
battle
don't.
of
In fact,
ideas.
most people in New Hampshire are independent.
So the meeting ended with us unifying against the things that we have in common. We don't all agree on certain issues, but we did agree that we wanted to fight on those issues that we do have in common, and we can discuss the other ones out throughout the course of the year and maybe the following year.
Good morning, Scott. Welcome to the program. We're happy to see you. You look very dapper and clean this morning. Great, nice shave and all of that. Well, one of the things that was prominent.
Hang on, there's a question. I want to make sure I answer it while I'm actually listening to them. Do they have close primaries in New Hampshire? Yes, but how it works is if you're an independent, and again, like I think it's something like 60 some odd % of voters in New Hampshire are independent. How it works with the primary is you walk in, you ask for a Republican or a Democrat ballot. You have to temporarily, for 15 minutes, register as part of that party to vote. You go and vote, and then you sign you sign a piece of paper saying you deregister from the party on the way out the door. So is it closed? Kind of, but it's like you walk in as an independent, you register with a party for 15 minutes, and then you walk out and you deregister from the party. So it's not that bad.
At the Indian Party Congress that Scott was at was the right-wing fascist danger, Rosanna. And I'm wondering, was there a kind of focus on that at the world meeting? Did because I know it's a problem in
Yes.
India, it's a problem in Europe, was a problem, well, it remains a problem, as we heard from Gary in Brazil. Was that one of the focuses of the meeting?
Yes, I mean, definitely several parties referred to it. And those, you can read those speeches of the different parties, including ours, at the solidnet.org website. But definitely, the fascist trend, the concerns, the struggle against it, were all discussed there.
That's SolidNet, SOLID, net.org. You can go there and read our speeches and the speeches of the other parties who were present. And I think that would be an interesting read for all concerned. And then another issue.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to also mention that before the meeting started, the day before the meeting started, they took us on a tour of the Fidel Castro Center, which is the only one that they will name after Fidel Castro, which essentially it outlines his history, very interactive, and it's going to go live November 25th for anyone who's interested. It's very impressive. It's very high-tech design, and then also
I don't believe we've seen Joe before, but maybe in like a Red May thing.
Technological Engineering Center, and I'm sorry, I probably messed up those words, but the essence of it is that's where the laboratory where they created.
Well, that's because Republicans mess with abortion, which was the stupidest thing they've ever done.
They had so much
shouldn't have done
difficulties trying to obtain vaccine from other countries. They created their own, which is now in a nasal spray.
What?
And they also showed us the different kinds of medications that they are coming up with.
Cuba created their own vaccine.
Lung cancer fighting medication that attacks the cancer, but not the rest of the body.
Does anyone know anything about that?
Medication that prevents ulcers from forming in the feet of people with diabetes. An anti-inflammatory medication that is in the works. And I was so impressed and at awe of the different medications that are being produced.
Republicans,
very
hang on.
Advanced. And
Republicans are awful to single women. Republicans are also awful to childless women. Republicans are also awful to women who don't meet their beauty standards on any given day. Like, Republicans don't like women any more than I think libertarians do, and to their detriment. Like, you want to bitch and complain, no offense, Republicans, but you want to bitch and complain that single women don't vote for you? Well, guess what? Don't shit on them constantly. If you shit on them constantly, they're not going to vote for you. Republicans should learn to shut the hell up. That would be Republican. Here is the ironic thing. Republicans probably would have done so much better in the midterms had they literally just zipped it and said nothing. They should have just zipped it.
This blockade is denying the world of these, medications. And I really sat there and I remembered my niece and my brother-in-law. Had they had these medications, they would have been alive today. So it was really something that just was something we have to do to end this blockade, not just for the people of Cuba, but for the people of the world, because there's just such an advancement going on there, in spite of the blockade. Very impressive.
The blockade is criminal. The blockade is inhuman. The blockade is against progress, and it must be ended. And whatever the case, whoever wins on Tuesday, we have to continue to push for that demand. There was a vote in the UN, I believe, this week with respect to the blockade.
There was.
Does anybody? How did that go?
I think there were maybe 2 or 3 people that didn't join in on that vote. Almost everyone in the world, and save Israel and the United States, and I think Brazil also abstained from that. But I also want to mention on that same solidnet.org site, there is a document, not only the document that's the Cuba statement, conference statement, the final declaration, but there's also a plan of action, which is really an inspiring document. And I mean, to have a plan of action, drawn up by 60 communist parties or communist parties from 60 countries around the world is really, something that we can all have a look at and see where we plug into that. They have a few things like International Day of Peace, International Day of Solidarity with Puerto Rico, International Youth Day. And these are kind of things that we could celebrate here and know that we're celebrating them with communist and workers' parties all around the world.
And that's
Unity
more
of
than
action.
more than the six. Those are more than the 60 countries, because it was a plan of work that was created with all the countries that belong, which is I think close to 190 countries.
Wow.
The unity of action was a powerful material force on this planet for almost 80 years. It helped lead to the fight to the defeat of fascism. Fascism would not have been defeated in World War II, Scott, had it not been
Had it not been for the brave communists fighting fascism.
It led to the freedom of Nelson Mandela, joint action of the initiative of the communist parties, led to the freedom of our own Angela Davis. Had it not been for that international solidarity, we might have lost. She might have been executed. And on and on and on. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Eastern European countries, that unity waned. Joint action subsided. And now, given the level of the fascist danger and the exploitation around the world and the environmental danger, that joint unity is needed now more than ever. I suppose you heard a lot about that in India while you were at the Indian Party Congress, Scott.
Absolutely. Unity on every level, in fact, from unity within the Communist Party of India, unity within the communist movement, because there are multiple communist parties there, unity between the left and the broader coalition needed to fight Modi's forces, but also unity on the world level in the struggle against imperialism and war. So yeah, unity is the great, that's what makes the working class powerful. Capitalists, billionaires, they're powerful as individuals. They have the property to, work their will on the world as individuals. That's not how the working class does it. That's not how oppressed peoples do it. Our strength comes from unity, the ability to organize and, figure out how to put our differences aside, unite around what we have in common, as Rosanna said.
I want to emphasize what he just said. Our strength is in our ability to organize and put our differences aside. Oh, I know. God, see, hang on. Here's what I'm going to do. I can't turn their sound up anymore, but I can turn my sound down. So I apologize for the sound difference. Their volume is as high as it can go. If I turn up the volume in the browser anymore, it's going to make me really loud. So is my volume okay right now? Where it's at now? Because it sounds really soft to me, but I think it'll sound better on your guys' end. And so I'll turn my volume down and you can turn your volume up. And that way it should be rather level. But I want to talk about what he just said. In fact, I'm turning my private volume up so you guys can. Actually, I might be able to now that I've turned my volume down. I might be able to turn it up here. I'll try turning it up in the browser, but I turned my volume down. Okay, good. You guys are saying it's good. Okay, he said that their strength comes in their ability to organize and putting their differences aside. I think that that is really, really important for people to hear because these people do that. They infight. They infight just like the right does. But when it comes time to get shit done, they are highly organized. The problem is on the people who don't want it. Like, we are completely fractured. The Republicans, the independents, the anti-woke crowd, the libertarians, we are completely fractured. And there are differences among those groups that are irreconcilable. And I don't know how we're going to be able to beat these people if we don't start getting over the bullshit. I really don't know. And I say that as someone who has repeatedly said, I'm never voting Republican again in my life. But the thing of it is the Republican Party spits in my face all the time and tells me they don't want my vote. So it's like both sides, like all sides have to come together. These people actually get their shit together, and that is why they are winning. Now let's check out that volume.
and move forward toward liberation.
Is that better, guys?
You know, we're so happy to hear that the
Is that a little bit
Communist
better?
Party of Cuba played a unique role in putting together that international statement of the parties. And that's kind of the role that the Cubans and others have traditionally played.
Hang on, I want to answer Jason's question. Here's my question. Is the Libertarian Party an actual party at all? Yes, the Libertarian Party is an actual party. The Libertarian Party is an actual party. We are a real party. We're the third largest political party in the United States. 100%. And by the way, Republicans can't win without our votes. So yes. All right, the volume is better. Cool.
Given their status in the international communist and workers movement, and that they weren't always able to come together on a joint statement. There were differences on this or that or the other, and there still are with respect to the war in Ukraine and so on, who is responsible and all of that. But they were able to find a common platform this time around. And
hang on. So McIntyre family says this is why it needs to change. If Republicans and libertarians came together, we'd be unstoppable. Well, here's the problem. Libertarians are not going to vote for Republicans. We are not going to vote for your candidates. Ever. It is not going to happen. You are not running candidates we can vote for in any way. What Republicans keep saying is that libertarians owe them their votes. We do not owe you our votes. Republicans keep demanding that we vote for them because they are the lesser of two evils. We do not owe you our votes. If Republicans want to work with libertarians and they want to get libertarian votes, then what they need to do is run libertarian candidates. And if Republicans refuse to run libertarian candidates and they keep running the same shitty candidates like they ran in these midterms, the libertarians will not work with you. I feel like I've been explaining this over and over and over again for like the better part of the year. And like, no, there is no compromise. Like there is no compromise on this issue. If Republicans want libertarians to vote for them, then they need to run libertarian candidates. If Republicans don't want to run libertarian candidates, then they will not get our votes. And that is really that simple. That's the way it is. Republicans have to grapple with that issue in whatever manner they want to.
And we hope that that plan of action will be implemented, and we pledge to do our part. And we got a big job to do in this country because, as you know,
I haven't shouted on this stream at all.
And one of the indications of
there's been no shouting.
Was the
try again
taking place in the Supreme Court this week around affirmative action.
All right. Hang on. I haven't talked about my rules of the chat. Rule number 1 of my chat is don't be a dick. Rule number 2 of my chat is don't whine. This type of shit will get you banned in my chat. There is no room for this here. You don't belong here, Sky Queen. Go away. If anyone else wants to test my rules, you're going to get banned too.
And it seems that the conservative, I even hate calling them jokers, conservative, that right-wing, extreme right majority are anti-affirmative action, anti-taking into account race as one among several factors in admitting
Yes, I agree with that,
Black
Liberty
and
Lion.
Latino students.
We're on the same page.
It's likely to have a big impact on college admissions. No?
That's right.
Oh, here we
There's
go.
the one person who has launched these two attacks. Actually, he's backed up by think tanks, conservative politicians, lawyers. Lots of right-wing forces have joined in this fight, and they took on University of North Carolina on constitutional grounds, and Harvard University on statutory grounds, because the first one is a public institution, the second one is private. So this man hopes to end, or this organization hopes to end affirmative action across the board at private and public colleges. And it really comes down to an argument about the nature of the 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, whether there's race blindness in there. And of course, there isn't race blindness in there. There was some very deliberate attention to race. It will be a big problem, I think, to continue to diversify college classes, and I think that's what these forces have in mind. They would like those kind of elite institutions to be reserved just for people like them. And people from the ruling class, the children of the ruling class, and they don't want to be, they don't want to have any competition from people who may not have had the privileges that they had conferred on their own children in the college admissions process.
The one thing I've never understood, Scott, is that they already have preferential treatment for students going to different universities. If you are an alumni of a school, you get your children get preferential treatment. I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't that happen all over the place? So I mean, why are they?
That's not an argument in favor of
Certainly in the
affirmative
schools that I've,
action.
That's
not an argument at all in favor of it.
Been familiar with, yeah. Legacy admissions are, if your parents were enrolled at the school, one of your parents or a relative some other way was a student there, they can give you a certain little bump in, there are a lot of things that play into the admissions process and the scoring of candidates, and that's one of them. What this affirmative action case is really just the open defense of white supremacy. This is the most reactionary section of the capitalist class saying we need to preserve institutional racism and white supremacy at all costs. And it's no surprise, because capitalism, the survival of capitalism, depends on the maintenance of white supremacy along with other forms of oppression. So this is, so for anybody who has even ventured to think for a second that the fight against racism or the fight against sexism or other forms of oppression is some minor thing that can be left for later, this is the proof that it's not the case. This is a case, this is a situation where the capitalist class is attempting to preserve the base of its power at all costs.
And Rosanna, this is why Tuesday's election is so darn important. Because the only way, the only mechanism, the only instrument for changing out the decision altering of the Supreme Court is the Congress. That's the case with the abortion ban now, and it's going to be the case with respect to college admission, and that's why go on.
Yeah, and in many other cases, even on the local level, on state level, if we don't vote, it has an impact. It really has. We are seeing the impact right now, and I think we've got to get out to vote, because it does impact. It may not impact some of us directly, but it impacts others. And as communists, that's what we're talking about. is the impact not just on us but on others, and others that don't have the voice, others that don't have the ability to vote, aren't able to vote. So I think we have to think in those terms and understand that voting and legislators, they're the ones who make the laws. They're the ones who have the impact. They're the ones who are making these changes, and so we have to participate in it. I wish it was mandatory like in Brazil.
Yeah, me too. It would be a whole different ball game if that was the case. But until that happens, we got to fight for DC to get statehood. Because if Washington D.C. gets statehood, that'll change the balance of power in Congress, and we've got to work for greater electoral reform. And that reform is going to have to come from pushing on the streets and pushing in the workplaces, and pushing on the campuses, because there is a fascist danger, there is a fascist, and it's real, and I don't think people really understand.
Do you see fascists everywhere?
Fascism.
Fascists are everywhere.
Fascism is mass murder. Fascism is genocide. Fascism is organized industrial
It's almost over.
torture,
This is about half an hour.
On a broad scale. Fascism is
We're going into another one next.
Camps. Fascism was the disappeared in Argentina. Remember that? Thousands of people murdered by the military junta.
Is this guy actually comparing being, you can see, guys, we're almost done with this video, then we're going to watch another communist video after this about their reaction to the election. Is this guy actually insinuating that murder is the same thing as not getting accepted to Harvard? Is that actually what he's saying? That murder and terrorism and war and destruction are on the same level as not getting bonus points on your Harvard application because of your skin color? I don't think that those are the same thing. That's all right, average person. I think we're going to get into the good stuff next. This one was okay. I think the next one's going to be better. My God, these people are so unhinged.
Fascism is what happened in that stadium in Chile when hundreds were massacred. And after that, they took the communists and the socialists and the Democrats, the revolutionary Democrats with a small d. And I'm one of them, by the way, a revolutionary working class Democrat. And they threw them out the windows. That's what fascism is. Fascism is going back to your home country and looking for your family and your cousins and your nephews, and second cousins, third cousins, gone, murdered in the gas chambers. That's what fascism is, And by the way, some people are saying that the Democrats are soft fascists. That's a contradiction in terms, Fascism is hard. Fascism is not covert, it's open, terroristic leadership. That's the danger that, and when those Nazis marched in Charlottesville, talking about they will not replace us. Think about what's behind that concept.
Thank you for the super chat, Elena.
Murder, genocide, concentration camps, No, a friend of mine.
I'm happy we got to see this guy's true colors, because he was like pretty subdued up until this point.
After the
he is a little
of Lula,
Nathaniel.
He said, "Thank you. We dodged the bullet. Never underestimate the fascist."
Yeah, a lot of it,
because they suffered for what 70, 80 years under the Salazar and Cardano dictatorships.
Isn't it ironic? And actually, let's just end this one here because we're going to go into another one. But isn't it ironic that, because this is almost over, does anyone find it ironic that the thing that this guy got most fired up about was affirmative action in college admissions? He is way more fired up about the fact that they might lose affirmative action in college admissions than he was about winning the election in Brazil. They won he's like, "Oh, yes, this election win is delightful. And it is really great." And then like we get to like you're gonna lose the Supreme Court case about affirmative action in college. He's like, "This is fascism and Nazis and murder and war and totalitarianism, and we will not take it." And it's like, what the fuck, dude? Calm down. Yeah, exactly, Deborah. Exactly. I guess someone didn't get into Harvard. My God, my God. Okay, well, that was our first jaunt into, guys, if you just joined us, we are watching videos from the actual Communist Party in America. That video that we just finished up was pre-midterm election. And now I think we're going to get into the good stuff. I wanted to get a little warm up. I wanted to find out how they define fascism. Apparently, they define fascism by taking away affirmative action in college admissions. I think that that is pretty clear. Yes, Max, I did work at Harvard. Harvard was my first higher education job. I also worked at Dartmouth, and I've done consulting for a lot of colleges. Some more in the Ivy Leagues, but a lot of colleges. To include Cornell, University of Chicago, a bunch of ones in California. Like I worked in higher ed for about 10 years, so guilty. But Harvard was my first job in higher education. And that's a whole other story for a whole other day. But we are watching the actual Communist Party videos. Welcome to Socialism Saturday. If you just joined us, this is a time where we listen to the farthest left of the far left and we find out what they're thinking and we talk about it. Now, I want to go into get ready for GOP Ugly Edition, because this is where the real communists, the admitted communists, are going to talk about their reaction to the 2022 midterm results. Now, I just want to do some predictions in the chat. What do you think the communists are going to say about the midterm results? I have no idea, honestly. I have a feeling they're going to talk about how, obviously, they're going to say, here's what I think. Type what you think into the chat. I think they're going to call the GOP fascist, 19 Ways from Sunday, but I don't think they're going to like the Democrats either. I don't think, yes, Nathaniel, exactly. They're going to be like, the Democrats are not communist enough for us. Exactly. Will they be happy, though? Will they? This is a common mistake that people make. They think that these people like the Democrats. These people do not like the Democrats. They do not. They don't like the GOP, but they don't like the Democrats either. So will they be happy? I don't know. I don't know. Let's find out.
Good morning, Revolution, and welcome to our show this morning, everyone. We are talking about a lot of big issues. We're going to start out talking about the huge protests that are taking place in Iran, followed by the midterm elections that took place last Tuesday, and certain forces in this country are not happy.
This is a great question, and I want to make sure I answer it. Are the communists the same as woke? Yes and no. Are communists woke? Yes. Are communists the only ones who are woke? No. My definition of woke, and I know there are people who will disagree with this, but this is my definition, and I wrote a book on it, so I'm allowed it. My definition of woke is authoritarian. Authoritarian can exist on the left, and authoritarian can exist on the right. That's why I don't think the battle that we're in today is left versus right. I don't think it's Republican versus Democrat. I think it's authoritarian versus libertarian. So are communists woke? Abso-fucking-lutely. But woke does not just exist on the left. It exists on all sides. So you don't have to be a communist to be woke. They are, yes, they are authoritarian with a little extra flavor. A little extra. They're authoritarian with some red sprinkles on top.
Happy. Some of them are crying. Some of them are jumping for joy. We'll see whether or not what our emotional and political attitude will be. Finally, tech layoffs. Some big Silicon Valley Corporation.
No, my
we're
doctorate was
having
not at Harvard. I would never go to
a
an
very, very difficult time.
I would never ever attend an Ivy League school. And fun fact, I did get accepted to Ivy League schools. I would never go to an Ivy League school. So no, my doctorate was not from Harvard.
And then finally we'll be dealing with our
My
mailbag
questions. Was from a
questions.
crappy for-profit college that actually gave me the education that I wanted.
We want to welcome Comrade Habib show. Good morning, Habib. He is from the Today Party in Iran, which is Iran's working class revolutionary party. Habib, big struggles in your country after the very sad and tragic.
I want to highlight Jason's comment. You know, the hardest part of all this, seeing them as the fringe in the sense that you hear the current manifestation of the Democrats say the same shit, yet no one is tracking. They took over. This is, Jason, you have hit the nail on the head of why we watch socialism on Saturdays on my channel. Because these people are winning. And you can hear it when you hear them talking, when you hear their speeches in their full form. You hear I got into Dartmouth. I didn't apply to Harvard. I didn't want to go to Harvard. I was thinking about, there was a time when I was thinking about, like, you know, being a college professor, and I was going to do a program at Dartmouth because I lived right down the road from Dartmouth. But no, you don't want me as one of your professors. I would be such a hard ass, but congratulations on being at Harvard. And I hope you survive it. Anyway, so like, this is one of the things that's really frustrating for me about this too, because, you know, if you watch these people in their full form, you hear the talking points that they're using show up in the mainstream. And you hear their talking points from years ago show up in the mainstream, but no one is listening to these people, so they don't know where it's coming from. It's all coming from these people and the socialists. It's crazy. It's so frustrating.
Tragic death of Masha Amini, led in the first place by women. It's continuing now for several weeks. Tell us a little bit about how it started and what the main demands are, and
don't let my shit talking about Harvard deter
forward.
you. If you
Sure.
have a good, you seem to have sense.
And thanks for approaching us and for inviting me here. Yes, you mentioned it. And before I start, I have to thank Communist Party of United States for issuing a statement to support the struggle of the people of Iran. As you mentioned, this was around, it was on September 13 when Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old Kurdish girl, actually, was arrested in Tehran, in the capital city, Tehran, while she was walking with her brother outside a subway station. And you know, she was charged with bad hijab, basically inappropriate hijab on the street. Maybe her headscarf was not perfectly covering her hair. Anyways, she was taken in custody of something that is called the Gasht Irshad in Iran, which is sort of guidance patrol. These are the green and white vans actually that run the streets of the country, looking for stuff like that, you know, bad hijabs and similar stuff. Anyway, she was taken in custody. 3 days later, she was pronounced dead in a hospital. That actually was the last straw that enraged the people, because this has happened in the past several times, and it happened again. You know, we had some big uprising back in 2018 and 2019, and many strikes and protests in between. I don't go too far back. You know, you may remember Green Movement in 2009. Yes. Since then, a lot of protests has happened. So this recent event actually was triggered by the death of Mahsa Amini, and basically it looks like it was an eruption of public anger. Yeah, and people think that, you know, that they are feeling that they are put in a box. They can't do anything. They have to follow all the orders of the Islamic Republic of Iran. As you know, that's the official name of the state, Islamic Republic of Iran. So it's a theocratic regime. It's a mixture. It's a fusion of religion.
Hang on, I've got a question. And guys, just so you know, if you do ask questions in the chat, sometimes I do answer them, but please keep your thoughts about what we are seeing coming, because you guys are putting so many amazing things in the chat. Awesome job tonight, guys. Jason says, question, what do you think about the past few months of this slow drip of mainstream media personalities let go for some reason? It's like companies are cleaning house, but the normies, but are normies tracking? No. Normies are not tracking what's going on at all. If normies were tracking, this is actually a really important question, Jason, and I'm glad you asked it. Listen, guys, if normies were tracking what was going on, the midterm election results would have been way, 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 way different. There are people like us, and probably the people, everyone watching the stream right now, that are crazy about this stuff. And when I say crazy, I mean we're kind of obsessed with it. We follow things very, very, very closely. We listen to different news sources. We do things like watch socialism. We know what's going on Twitter. We are tracking the current reality. The vast majority of people are not doing that. And it can be difficult sometimes because it's hard when you're in it every single day and you know what's going on. It can be hard to understand that the vast majority of the population does not see what we see. They see what is spoon-fed to them by the media. So are they tracking the changes going on at the networks? No, not at all. Not in any way. And we need to start like getting off of Twitter and stop relying on influencers to save us. This is why this is so important. This is why I harp on this all the time. Twitter is not going to change the outcomes of elections. It's just not. Like, conversations in your communities with people one-on-one in person is what's going to start to change things. That's why I think every single person needs to start teaching people in their lives about this stuff. We need more people talking to their friends, talking to their family in person, showing them these things, forcing them to sit down and watch and look, because they're not going to see it unless you do that. Well, I mean, you know, Max, I live about an hour away from Boston, so maybe sometime we'll do a Boston meetup. Actually, why haven't I done a Boston meetup? I never even thought about it. I live about an hour away from the city. I can really come down. Actually, you know what's fun? You know what? Maybe I will do a Boston meetup because Joshua's coming to Boston pretty soon, I think. And we're gonna go out, so I'm gonna have to go to Boston anyway. So maybe we'll do a meetup. Who knows? Let me see. Just scrolling through the chat a little bit, guys. All right. I think I'm caught up. Guys, mount that like button if you haven't already.
And civic state, basically. And unfortunately, religion has the upper hand. So the supreme leader is above and beyond the law, and he can do everything. And all the penal codes and everything else are tainted with religion, Sharia law, basically. So people are saying, you know, they are fed up. And this was the death of Masa Amini, was the last straw, as I mentioned. And so what people of Iran are saying now, they pull into the streets chanting against the moral police or guidance patrol that I mentioned. And then, but it flared actually much larger and beyond the issue of hijab and imposed or compulsory dress code. What the people right now they want is they want their dignity back. They want justice. They want freedom. And that's why they have this beautiful slogan that it says, "Woman, life, freedom." You know,
Women, life, freedom.
Exactly. You know, basically what they're saying is that, you know, we want our lives back. You know, we want our dignity back. We want justice. We want life. We want our freedoms. That's what is happening. And again, it developed way beyond the issue of bad hijab and everything else. Now it is almost 2 months that the protests are happening. Of course, the state doesn't recognize these as protests. It calls them riots. Unfortunately, around 330 people have been killed, 50 of them children between the ages of 12
Oh God,
to
captions. I'm sorry,
17,
Maze.
which is very
And we've been
bad.
reading some 15,000 have been arrested.
That is correct.
Sorry.
Yes, at least the last time I checked, yes, it was somewhere between 14 to 15,000 people that have been arrested. all across the country, some of them, they started actually sentencing some of them. Unfortunately, there was a few death sentences, as I said, because the supreme leader is the representative of the God on earth. This is a theocratic regime. It's a religious regime, basically. Sometimes I call it Inquisition 2.0. But because he is the supreme leader, representative of the God on the earth, if you say death to Khamenei or down with Khamenei, then you're the enemy of.
Got a super chat from Bree. Bree, thank you for that. We need to take notes on activism in Brazil. We should be protesting like them right now, at least on behalf of Arizona. Well, of course, you know, Bree, that our elections in Arizona were especially perfect this time around. And, on YouTube, I can't, say anything other than acknowledge the absolute perfection of the elections in the midterms, especially in Arizona. But I do think, and I've always thought, that the right could learn a lot of lessons about getting out and protesting from other people who are getting out and protesting. And the protests in Brazil have been absolutely massive. And I think that there is a lot to learn from that. So I agree with you. Thank you. So normies are those who don't pay attention to politics or the news. Well, kind of both. I mean, normies think they pay attention to the news, but they don't really, because they don't understand that the media is lying to them. Normies are people who have not yet figured out that most news is bullshit. It's maybe a better way to define it.
The gods, and the sentence is death. And unfortunately, that's what has been happening.
Oh, thank you for the super chat. Let me know if you want me to read something.
And have the, I'm sure that, I know that women are leading it, but I would imagine that the breadth of the protests are quite wide now, that workers.
Here, I want to make sure I acknowledge, because I'm not sure how to say your name, but you sent in a super chat and then you said this: when watching these people, they must not have joy. They are serious and should be taken seriously. Yeah, no, I mean, this is a really great note. These people have no joy in their lives. We've seen this over and over and over again on Socialism Saturday. It's funny right now. Like, look at their clothes. I mean, sometimes they wear red, like I'm wearing. Like, red is basically the only color these people ever wear. Other than that, it's always drab. They always look upset. They always look very serious. They are always very low energy, except every once in a while they get very excited about fighting back against something. But these people, like, absolutely should be taken seriously, 100%.
And students and have joined the.
I should also say that the sound is bad on their end. These people are awful with technology. There is no reason why we are losing to these people. I swear to God, these people suck at technology so bad. The socialists suck. The communists suck. They are all so awful with it. So any funny things you hear with the sound, it's almost always on their end because they're not doing something correctly.
Protests. Is that the case?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely that's the case.
Like that guy?
Because, as I said, the issue was not anymore only the hijab, only the dress code. There always have been economic hardships in Iran. Of course, the sanctions have made it so much harder. But, the neoliberal policies that the state has followed over the past 40 years, I would say, unfortunately has brought a lot of privatization, restrictions on unions, for example. All of these have made it very difficult for people actually to get organized. But the hardship is there. So they do what they can. Of course, the students, the youth are more pronounced. You can see them more in the streets. In some areas, no, it's actually the regular people, normal people. They may not be coming to the street as organized unions or organizations, but they are there because they are fed up. They want their life back. They want dignity. They want just a decent life. That's all they are asking. There was a nice thing posted by one of them on the Twitter that said, you just wanted to prove that you didn't kill Masa Amini by killing 300 more people. You could have just said, sorry, there was a mistake. We're going to punish the perpetrator. Whoever did that is going to be brought to justice. No, not an inch, they step back, unfortunately. But so, yes, briefly to answer the question, yes, there is everybody on the streets now. Nobody knows where this is going to go, unfortunately, because in the past, the, the suppression has been brutal. Even this time has been brutal. But nobody knows. It may die out, but the problems are not going to go away because nothing has been resolved.
And what can we do here in the United States to express our solidarity to the people of Iran and in particular to the Today Party?
Yeah, definitely. Again, we thank Communist Party of USA to issue a solidarity statement. That's the best thing you can do. The best thing you can do is just echo what the people of Iran want. Echo the women life.
You're
freedom,
good. I'm not saying your
slogan.
name. Thank
There
you.
there have been actually protests outside Iran, organized by the Society of the Victims of the Ukraine plane that was shot down by the IRGC, Islamic Republic Revolutionary Guards. This was 3 years ago. They have organized rallies, really nice rallies. We don't want any interference by anybody in any domestic matters of Iran, especially, of course, by the imperialist powers. We just want solidarity. We just want everybody to know what is happening in Iran. Something like this that you're doing right now, this helps a lot. Just great solidarity. If possible, you can always push the government of Iran to release the political prisoners, to stop violence, and demands like that, basically.
Very good. Well, we'll continue to follow the struggle in Iran very closely. We want to thank you very much for coming. And hopefully the protests will result in the release of the political
Okay, talk about the
prisoners,
midterms now. I want to
and
hear you talk about the
eventually some
midterms.
reform so that a democratic secular government can
Oh God,
replace
please
the
turn off his
theocracy.
sound.
I imagine that's the main demand of the
It's
Today
so
Party.
bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are hoping that all of these struggles of the people of Iran.
We are struggling right now with your sound.
Actually, the removal of the
people are
theocratic
struggling
regime,
with this horrible audio.
Nobody had any problems with the religion per se.
Yes.
Say, okay, you want to be religion? Okay, we got to deal with the life of the people. You have to, take care of your own people. If that doesn't happen, then people are not happy. Yes, we would like to get rid of the theocracy in Iran and move toward the national democratic state.
No, I'm not going to do it. I won't do it. I'm not doing it. It'll get clipped out of context. Don't set me up like that, comrade.
Well, we have had a very interesting conversation.
Oh, thank God. Oh, the sound is back.
Rosanna, you met with some of the comrades from Iran, from the Today Party recently in Havana at the International Meeting of Communist and Workers' Parties.
They were celebrating the Communism Party in Iran.
In, what happened last Tuesday
in
the
Comrade
general
Bowles
election, our midterms.
Yes, talk about the midterms.
And we're a big
they're going to talk about Twitter too. Holy shit.
Was expected to happen, but it turned into a pink trickle. I read a meme this morning. They said, what happened? A pink trickle is what happens when the red Make America Great cap is put in the laundry with the white Ku Klux Klan robe.
Oh my God.
Is what the result is. But in Los Angeles, Rosanna, the mayoral election is not over, I read this morning.
Who won the mayoral election? Does anyone know who won that?
They're still counting votes. Karen Bass.
Hang on. Does anyone know who won the mayoral election in LA? I don't. I didn't follow up on that. Was it the guy who used to be a Republican? Cyrus said, if governments weren't corrupt, communism could work. There are more than enough resources for all. Make our leaders take ayahuasca. They'll see the light. I don't want to live in communism. I would be honest. Now, listen, if people want to move to Vermont and form their own commune, then I have no problem with that. If they want to live as communists in Vermont, I don't really care. But I don't want to be forced to be a communist. I just don't. And I don't trust people to do that. And I especially don't trust these people to do that. And I don't think there's enough ayahuasca in the world to get them to a place where I could trust them, Cyrus. But thank you for that super chat. Yeah, Julie, that escalated quickly, didn't it? It's like, this is why you have to watch the whole thing. Oh, Karen Bass did win. Oh God. Los Angeles is so, I will never go to Los Angeles again unless I absolutely have to. Los Angeles is awful.
Is now only 12,000 votes below the right-wing Caruso. So they're supposed to make another announcement, I believe, today or tomorrow regarding more results. But she's closing in, and we're hopeful now.
Let's see what happens. We were kind of surprised.
So was I.
How did that right winger? But
You know, he's self-financed. He self-financed. He hired canvassers. They even came knocking on our door, and they had text message after text message sending it to voters, focused on the Latino community, and also on the last day or so, his daughter, they sent out a wide text message saying that, this is his daughter. We want you to urge you to vote for my dad, things like that.
I disagree.
So, he tried every trick in the book, and of course
I trust anarchism more than I trust communism.
I don't know how many.
Significantly more.
So, and he says he's not going to take corporate money. Well, he is corporate money.
Joe, we can't hear you.
I heard them sirens. I first thought for a moment they were coming for Cameron. Welcome, Cameron. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
And Scott, good to see you as well. Karen Bass may catch up. We're hopeful in Los Angeles. But in the rest of the country, Scott, it looked like that red wave didn't happen.
Yeah.
What's your instant analysis?
So I'm right on the border. I'm in New York State in the 19th district, which unfortunately elected a Republican, Mark Molinaro, over Josh Riley. But right across the border from me, about 3 minutes away from where I live, in Pennsylvania, I'll tell you what, people are overjoyed. To have John Fetterman in the Senate and Josh Shapiro as governor, even though, it wasn't a close race at all.
Yes, we should all be overjoyed that John Fetterman is in the Senate. Absolutely.
But, the gubernatorial candidate in Pennsylvania was, he was like on the fringe of Trumpers, I think. And the level of excitement in Pennsylvania and the level of turnout was, in my area, different from what I'd seen before. Long lines at polling places.
Oh God!
Some reports of
please let John Fetterman be on the presidential ticket. Please let that happen.
Asking who they're going to vote for, telling them to vote for a Republican. But yeah, Pennsylvania made out well, and nationwide. Just to put this in historic perspective, it's normal for the party that controls Congress to lose big in the first term of an incumbent president. That happened under Clinton in '94, right? When the whole Contract for America thing came out. It happened under Bush, happened under Obama. This is, measured against the trend. This is a huge victory, based on turnout, as we've been saying.
Based on turnout driven by three basic issues, Rosanna. One, abortion rights, the right to choose. Second, the right to vote, democracy itself. And thirdly, the right to buy gas and other, necessities of life at a decent price, and that's what, really almost brought that Republican wave to a halt.
Yeah, I
for
think
some-
I think it's also I think it also shows that people are much more alert to some of the deception tactics that the right wing.
I got a couple of super chats I want to acknowledge. I'm not saying your name. No, I appreciate the money. Biden Fetterman 2024. It's a no. Oh my god. Please. Oh my god. Listen. I don't care which party wins. I'm going to be honest. I really don't care. I just want what is the most hilarious possible political outcome at the moment, and I'm fully fine with accelerationism. This is the most hilarious possible outcome. I endorse it. I think it would be great. Cyrus says, "Is that really fair? I think the word communism turns you off, but honestly, but I know you of all folks know we have the resources. I do not want to be a communist. I don't owe anyone anything. I don't want any government distributing anything. I don't want to be told I can't own private property. I don't want to be told that I can't enjoy the fruits of my labors and my work. I do not want to be a communist. I think communism has no redeeming value whatsoever. If we have the resources, then people can work their damn selves and get what they want, and we don't need any government to take control of the means of production and distribute those resources out to us. I do not want to be a communist. That is a hard stop. I will never agree to it. It will not happen. Communists are fucking insane. If you want, but I fully support your right. If you want to go be a communist somewhere away from me, then go do it. I'm just not going to involve myself in it, but I will wish you the very best. I promise. Tom J says, Fetterman, Kamala, Mayor Pete 2024. Why not a throuple by then? Why not, Thomas J? Why not? Why not indeed? And I just want to thank Catherine for her member chat, and I wish I could display it on the screen, but StreamYard has not created that integration yet. Catherine Scully, member of my channel for 22 months. Thank you for your channel membership. Biden Fetterman 2024. Together we can speak coherently. I'm not even sure they can speak coherently together. But guys, just a reminder, if you want to attend movie night tomorrow in my supporter Discord, one of the ways to get access to my supporter Discord is by becoming a member on this channel. I will be sending out a link to all channel members tomorrow to come watch They Live With Us tomorrow night in the Discord. You can also get access to it by joining my Patreon or my locals. The link for all of that is in the description below.
Has been using. I think they're no longer just fooled by little, cutesy ads. They're looking more into it. They're getting more involved. They understand
I'm streaming on Rumble right now. I'm literally streaming on Rumble right now.
And the benefits of voting, and what it can bring for working people.
Cameron, we always said that voting, while individuals do it, it's important to understand that as a collective act, as a collective action of a class and of a people. But in New York, some of the elections were quite close, even though the governor won. I know you've been looking at it. I think you said that there were 3 seats that were up, and the Republicans won 2. Is that the way it went?
Yeah. So basically, New York just went through a very pretty.
I'm actually honestly really surprised at what we're hearing, and I definitely want to watch the Democratic Socialist call after this now, because I'm actually really surprised at what I'm hearing from the communists, where they don't even care about who the Democrats are electing as long as the Republicans lose. And that is not something I'm used to hearing from the socialists. The socialists do not like the Democrats at all, but the communists seem like kind of fine with the Democrats as long as the Republicans lose, which is interesting. And it's honestly something that I wouldn't have considered, just because I've heard so much shit talking coming from the socialists towards the Democratic Party.
Confusing redistricting process. And after the last census, they lost. We used to have 27 districts. Now we have 26. But basically, the upshot of it is that Democrats lost, basically lost 3 seats, and Republicans gained 2. Yeah, that's a loss for New York. Also in New Jersey, where I live now, we lost a seat, and that was definitely due to gerrymandering. A lot of the working class areas were cut out of the district. I mean, that had an effect on the result.
Hang on, I got a super chat from Cyrus. Cyrus says, "You're misunderstanding me. Suppose you were queen of the world. Wouldn't you make sure all folks had basic needs are met, or just ignore the word communism?" No, I wouldn't. First of all, I would never take on the job of being queen of the world. And secondly, if I did, I would make sure that, like, I would try to dismantle all systems of power. Like, the power should not reside in one person. The power should not reside in a group of people. I'm sorry. I fundamentally distrust all forms of government now. I think that they are all extremely easy to corrupt. And even if I was running it, like I said, and listen, like, I was never really serious about being governor of New Hampshire, and people who watch my channel know I wasn't serious about that. But if I had, by some miracle of history, actually won that election, what I would have done is dismantle as much of the government as I could. But no, I do not believe I have obligation to anyone else, nor do I believe that anyone else has obligation to me beyond any voluntary agreements that I have entered into. If I haven't entered into a voluntary agreement with someone and that person hasn't entered into a voluntary agreement with me, then I have no obligation to them. I think people can do for themselves. I believe in people's ability to do for themselves and to take care of their own needs and to enter into whatever voluntary agreements they need to enter into to make sure that their needs are met.
How can we account for a situation like what developed in Ohio, which was a blowout, where even in my hometown, which had traditionally voted Democratic for 20, 30, 40 years.
This is how you said it much more eloquently than me. I wouldn't make sure everyone's basic needs were met, but I'd make damn sure they could all meet their own needs. I like that a lot. If you give a man a fish, he will eat for one day, but if you teach him to steal, he will eat every day. Well, no, I don't co-sign that. Don't hurt people, don't take people's stuff. No, I'm sorry, Cyrus, we are at a fundamental impasse on this issue. Come on, Carlin, work with me. I watch your streams about love. I'm talking about what if our leaders are more enlightened? No. It will not happen, dude. I'm sorry. I like you. You've always been a great supporter. This is not against you. This is not a personal thing at all. But you are trying to trick human nature, and it's not going to work. Communism does not work. It does not work ever. It does not work if you call it something different than communism. Real enlightenment is knowing that you can provide for yourself. Real enlightenment is not looking to other people to provide for you. It is knowing emphatically that you can provide for yourself. There is nothing enlightened about communism, and I don't care if you call it communism or rainbows and unicorns, or you make up some new name. What you're really saying right now, exactly, Barb, is real communism has never been tried. It has been tried. It doesn't work because you're trying to trick human nature. It will not happen. It won't. Human beings are inherently selfish. It's just the way it goes.
Years, the Republicans won in Trumbull County. They won in Mahoning County. The Congressman Tim Ryan, who's basically a good
Senator,
working class guy,
senator,
he couldn't
not
even
congressman.
win his own district.
Senator. Tim Ryan was a senator, not a congressman. Senator. Okay, what about this? Would you at least support the idea of criminal reform? Should a crime be held against you for life? Say no or I'll cry. I support criminal justice reform. I absolutely support criminal justice reform. I've been very clear about this. I think our criminal justice system is fucked on 19 different levels. I also don't I even believe this when I was a Democrat. Like I got in a lot of trouble with the woke HR people because the Society for Human Resources, which is one of the biggest HR organizations in the world, was working with the Trump administration to make it easier for people to get jobs after they got out of jail. And I was completely in favor of this because, like, as many of you know, I had a friend that wrongfully went to prison after he pled guilty to a crime he didn't commit because he was afraid of going to prison for the rest of his life if he didn't. So he pled guilty to something he didn't do. And he spent a lot of time in prison. And when he got out of prison, it was really difficult for him to get a job. And he did. And then he got smeared on the internet by fucking deranged lunatics who wanted to get to me. And so they smeared and doxed my friend all over the internet. But that's a different story. But it was like really hard for him to get a job. And I remember that. And I'm completely in favor of criminal justice reform. I'm completely in favor of making it easier for people to get jobs after they leave prison. That's never been an issue. But that is not an issue of communism. That is an issue of fairness.
But in other states, let's see, for example, in Michigan, they did quite well. Pennsylvania did quite well. Scott, what do you think the difference is between a Michigan, winning the struggle for democracy, and Ohio, where similar states in many respects, you got blown out the water?
Well, I wonder if in Ohio it didn't have something to do with the particular candidate the Republicans ran, J.D. Vance, who was famous already for his book Hillbilly Elegy, who had developed completely undeservedly a reputation for being a sort of like voice of the working class. Someone. He's a finance guy. But I think he's indicative of a tendency that's developing in the Republican Party. There are forces pushing for what a lot of people call a populist approach. One that's xenophobic and racist, but also panders to the working class rather than addressing substantial working class issues. And I suspect that was what was in play in Ohio, particularly because of who Vance was. So I'm not sure if that's generalizable or I could be entirely wrong. Who knows?
I had a friend on Facebook who made a very interesting statement. Let's do a quick lightning round. I want to see what you guys think about it. He said it was a movement which rejected Beto. He said it was a movement that rejected Abrams. It was a movement that reelected DeSantis. Movements generate power, not votes. The Republicans have known this for years. That's why they win. You don't elect people to lead your movement. You create a movement where the leaders rise up. Cameron, what do you think? True or false?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that what we're working for basically is we're people try to say we're allied with the Democratic Party, but that's false. We're allied with the movement that's fighting for progress.
Thank you. Hang on.
And out of that struggle,
I want to acknowledge Liberty Lion's, I guess, Rumble rant. Sorry I didn't see it. I normally don't check Rumble or the other platforms when I'm streaming just because it's like too much. But I wanted to acknowledge Liberty Lion. You like communism? Look up Utopian Mouse Project. Well, we'll have to look that up, Liberty Lion. Thank you.
struggle, we fight to bring working class people and women and immigrants and people of color and LGBTQ and young people into leadership in the movement and over government, and that's That's what we need. We need a working class government that legislates in the interest of working people and democracy.
Rosanna, you think my friend is right or wrong? Movement that elected, that defeated Beto?
Beto.
Unfortunately, I
Beto.
agree, you know, that it is a movement, but I think it's a good lesson for all of us that, you know, and I think I've said it before, we have to build that movement, that working class power, because that is what happens. It's, you know, it's the people that make that decision. You know, in this case, they were misguided, but but we can turn that around. We can definitely turn it around. We know the formula. We just have to work hard at it.
Scott, was he right or wrong?
I'm gonna disagree. I think the overall principle is valid, but when we think about the Republican Party in particular, in states like Georgia, the defeat of Stacey Abrams is not an expression of popular will. It's an expression of the concentrated use of political and financial power to gerrymander, to restrict voting rights. Yeah, so there's a movement, but it's a minority movement that is has been able to impose itself undemocratically. So I would dissociate myself from any suggestion that the defeat of Stacey Abrams represents the mass democratic upsurge of the people of Georgia.
Well, not necessarily a mass democratic upsurge, and maybe the Stacey Abrams governor's race is an exception to the rule. But the fact of the matter is that we have had, since Obama was elected in 2007, 2008, the emergence of mass movements on the right and on the left. Mass movements for democracy and progress. Remember, mass electoral movements. That was what, real change. That was hope, real change. That was.
Yeah, Obama was real hope and change, all right. Absolutely. Drew Ryan, welcome to the channel. Thank you for becoming a member. I do appreciate it. And Cyrus says, Carlin, thanks for mentioning. I always support. I didn't think you remember. Cyrus, I absolutely remember you. I 100% do. I drive trucks, remember, and as a Black LGBT, I think you'll be interested in my story. It's bizarre. How do I, Cyrus, if you want to get in touch with me, send me a note at carlin@activelyunwoke.com. And let me know what your story is. No, you Cyrus, you've always been a great supporter of the channel. I absolutely remember my regulars. And you definitely have been a regular. And so we may not agree on everything, but I do appreciate you.
Was the slogan of the Obama movement coming out of the Great Recession, followed by the AstroTurf Republican drive that was met on the other side by Occupy, and then came Donald Trump, and the emergence of that right-wing fascist tinge, which is developing more and more in an overtly fascist direction, which was met on the other side by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And so for the past period, these right and center-left democratic mass movements have been in contention. And the difference, by the way, between what happened in Ohio and what happened in Pennsylvania or Michigan was that Ohio has taken the brunt of the deindustrialization, gutting of the economy and steel and auto, and with it, a tremendous decline in the unionization, a tremendous decline in what we call the organizations of civil society, civil rights, women's movement, environmental, and so on and so forth. And so there was very little on the ground to work with to propel and to organize people to turn out to vote and to give them something to vote for. And so as a result, Ryan ran to the center right, and that was hardly enough to make a difference. The lesson,
He thinks
I
that
think,
Tim
for
Ryan
all
is
of
center
us is
right.
that
Okay,
we have
this is what I mean when I say they don't like Democrats. Did you just hear what he said? He said that he believes that Tim Ryan is center right. They do not like Democrats. It's like they tolerate Democrats because they think they're better than Republicans, but they basically think that Democrats are on the right. So it's like this is like the living, breathing embodiment of that, like that meme where it's like everyone except the farthest left of the farthest left is like an alt-right Nazi. Well, yeah, he is aggressively unintelligent. But here is the thing, guys. And I'm just going to keep reminding people of this. He's winning. These people are not smart. These people have horrible ideas. But these people are unapologetic about their horrible ideas and they are organized. And that's why they're winning. It's not because they're smart. It's not because they're good communicators. It's not because it's not because like there's any appeal at all. There is absolutely nothing appealing about these people at all. So why are they winning? Man, let me see. Hang on. Nick, you called it. $2 tip for you. Everyone owes Nick a $2 super chat. Man. Cyrus says, please forgive me for this question. I know it's unpopular opinion, but honestly, I think the Republican Party should run Mitt Romney again. Oh my God, Cyrus. 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 No. No. That is a horrible idea. That is, why do you think they should run Mitt Romney? Why? Cyrus, explain yourself. Why on earth do you think they should run Mitt Romney? You don't have to send in a super chat. You've already sent in enough super chats. I mean, of course, I'll always welcome the money, but like, if you just type into chat why you think Cyrus, I need to understand your reasoning here. In what universe are you living in that you think they should run Mitt Romney? Is it like an accelerationist strategy? Is it like if the Republicans run Mitt Romney, it will prove how feckless and awful the Republicans are, and then they will all mass exodus and become libertarians? I think, you know what? I think that Republicans running Mitt Romney could be the best thing that has ever happened for the Libertarian Party ever. Ever. I think the Republicans running Mitt Romney would be amazing for the Libertarian Party. And so that is the only reason that I would endorse that. Nick says, thank you, everyone. Thank you to Miss K for being a good mentor. Oh, thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Oh my God. Why would you want to inflict that on us, Cyrus? Explain yourself. I'll keep an eye on the chat.
Have to continue to focus on the issues.
Oh,
number one.
He did send in another super chat. Cyrus, big spender. Come on, the Dems love him. He's Mormon. I used to go to a Mormon church. All real Mormons are pretty conservative. I'm from the South. I can't help it. He did the knee BLM thing. But I don't want Mitt Romney to be president. No. I don't get if the Democrats love him, that is all the more reason that Mitt Romney is basically a Democrat. That's why the Democrats love him. Mitt Romney was governor of Massachusetts. He was basically a Democrat. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I'm sorry, Cyrus. But, Cyrus, what I do appreciate is this. You went out on a limb. You threw out an unpopular idea. You did it knowing the chat was going to be angry at you. And I have to admire the conviction to throwing out an unorthodox idea. I do appreciate it. We should consider all ideas. I think this is a particularly bad idea. I don't think it's going to work out. But I appreciate you having the bravery to go against the grain and throw out an unpopular idea. Thank you, Cyrus. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. Cyrus, for the balls you have in throwing out that awful idea, you are king of the chat for the rest of the night. Cyrus is king of the chat. When someone gets dubbed king of the chat for the rest of the night, that means they can ignore my chat rules and they can say whatever they want. They can be a dick. They can whine. No, did he? Yay! Did he really? Did Elon Musk announce that? Hang on. This is more important than like anything. Hang on a second. Did Elon Musk actually announce this? You aren't just messing with us? And thank you, Ron, for the super chat. If there's something you want me to read, let me know and chat it in. Did he really? Romney took money from FTX, so that doesn't surprise me at all. The people have spoken. Trump will be reinstated. Yay! Oh my God. That is so one Twitter poll was all that it took. Guys, we might have Elon Musk and Donald Trump shit-talking each other before the end of the week. Oh God, I want to end the stream right now and go and enjoy myself on Twitter, but we're committed. We're going to continue to watch socialism. We're going to wrap this up. Then we're going to watch the Socialism DSA organizing call. Oh my God. Mount the like button if you're happy that Trump is going to be reinstated. Who knows if Trump will come back? I think he will. I think that Trump is not going to be able to help himself. What was the final results of the poll? The poll was getting close. Holy shit. 51.8% to 48.2% over 15 million votes. 15 million votes. Oh my, yes, I'm looking at the tweet right now, Jason. It is verified. It is real. Elon Musk tweeted that Donald Trump is going to be reinstated. Amazing. Amazing. Oh my God. I wish there was some sort of party we could have on the channel, but we can't because we're watching communism. All right, guys, let's wrap this one up, and then we're going to watch the Democrat Socialists of America post-election organizing call. If anything fun happens on Twitter, please feel free to chat in and let me know. And we can enjoy this moment together. Holy shit. This is going to be such a meltdown of epic proportion. Emily says, I live in Utah. Mitt Romney is a yes man to whoever benefits him, and he only moved to Utah to get the Mormon votes. I agree with that. I agree. He wanted to be senator. And Cyrus says, chat, I hear you and trust. I wanted to hate Mitt, but it's literally impossible to hate a Mormon. I hate Mitt Romney plenty for both of us, Cyrus. It's okay. Mormons are generally very nice, though. I will give you that. Mormons are generally very nice people. Musk said it was a bot attack that made it close. Did he really? It didn't surprise me at all. I freaking knew it. That number it started at like 60% pro-Trump, and then it just kept coming down and down and down and down. I was like sweating it. I was like, oh, Trump's going to lose. Trump's going to lose. They're going to get a last-minute batch of votes. But Trump won. You're all going to hate winning. You're going to get tired of winning. We're going to win so much.
To continue to put forward good
candidates. Hang on. Trendlin said it a super chat. Once Alex Jones is back on Twitter, then we will have free speech on Twitter. Well, here's the issue with Alex Jones. And this had to be explained to me by the libertarians. It is in Twitter's platform agreement with the Apple App Store that they cannot, like, it has to do with everything Alex Jones related being banned from the Apple Store. And so Twitter could get pulled from the Apple App Store if they platformed Alex Jones. That's just like a business reality. And so he's going to have to deal with that, but like I don't think that the Alex Jones issue is as simple as people are making it out to be, because he could be trying to prevent Apple pulling the app out of the store, which would be a far more, like, I'm sorry, like, that's a pretty important thing. So people need to be patient and they need to like stop, because if conservatives keep whining about Alex Jones, you guys are going to piss Elon Musk off and he's going to stop having your back, okay? That's my advice. Stop whining about it. He knows, he is aware there are business realities, plain and simple, that might right now prevent him from doing anything about it, because he doesn't want to get the app pulled from the App Store, which could happen. So relax, settle down. He's reinstating Trump. These things sometimes come in baby steps, okay? Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are aware, and that's really the problem. Well, okay, do you want Twitter to exist or not? This is where conservatives get stupid. I'm sorry. Do you want Twitter to exist or not? This is one of those things where conservatives are like, I'm taking my toys and going home. If I can't get everything I want right this second, then fuck you. I'm taking my toys and going home. Bro, do you want Twitter to exist or not? Settle down.
Including communist candidates, independents, and to continue to work with what we call the forces of political independence, that are not directly tied to the structure of the Democratic Party. Really important. And if we do that, we have a chance of building kind of electoral mass movement that can institute real change. I want to move to our discussion question, our mailbag. We're running a little bit out of time. And the question had to do with co-ops. They wanted to know, what is the Communist Party's view on the establishment of co-ops? Is that the road to socialism, Cameron?
Well, I think we're definitely in support of co-ops. I don't think it's by itself solves all the political problems, or the question of what to do with the wealth that's already been stolen. But I think definitely we definitely support co-ops, and in a socialist society, I think there's going to be a big, there's going to be different forms of collective ownership, from state-owned enterprises where workers have a big say, and also supporting workers to develop, collectively owned businesses that, help them develop their creative, involvement in development of the economy.
Thank you. Rosanna, co-ops the way forward?
Well, I think, of course, the people will decide how we're gonna take it. But I think, what direction we're gonna go. But I think co-ops might be a way to practice collectivity, which is something that we weren't ingrained in doing. The capitalist system has always told us, individual, it's about you. And so to be able to kind of practice a little bit of collectivity, it might be a stepping stone towards our ultimate.
Let me see. Cyrus, please give me a break, guys. But Alex Jones convinced me that everything he said was true. Am I just that pathetic? I think that I think Alex Jones gets a lot right. I think that Alex Jones gets some stuff wrong. I don't think you're pathetic. I mean, like, I don't think, like, there's no such, I don't think pretty much anyone is, but like, here's my issue with Alex Jones. Alex Jones set himself up for that $1 billion verdict. Now, Do I agree with that verdict? No. Do I think that judgment against him is outlandish? Yes. Do I think there are ramifications for that judgment that are going to impact all of us? Absolutely. However, people keep saying about Alex Jones that he got that $1 billion judgment against him because he hurt people's feelings. That's not why he got it against him. Alex Jones got that judgment against him because he incited a mob against people who lost their children in a school shooting. And he should have known better. He absolutely should have known better. It was like, I have been on the receiving end of right-wing cancel mobs on more than one occasion. It is, to say the least, it sucks really, really badly. There are all manner of threats that you get. You get doxxed everywhere. Pictures of your house get put on the internet. Your friends and family get smeared and doxxed. It is a ridiculous experience to go through. And the experiences that I've had have been minuscule compared to what Alex Jones put those families through. It was not just about hurt feelings. He incited a mob. And I say that saying that I think that the judgment was bullshit. I think that the $1 billion fees were bullshit, but he should have fucking known better. He should have known that everyone was going to come after him. He should have known better. That's my issue with Alex Jones. He knew what would happen. He has been articulating what would happen. He did a really shitty thing to those families, and he should have damn well known there were going to be consequences. He set himself up for that. I'm sorry. Sin says, I didn't know about the Apple stuff. Hope Elon outmaneuvers them. Apple will deserve everything they get. I mean, I kind of think it's one of those things where he's going to have to figure it out, you know? But I trust Elon Musk. Elon Musk is making good decisions. He's being pragmatic about it. Yeah, exactly. Alex just doesn't know when to shut his fucking mouth. And I think that Elon Musk is making good business decisions. He's making pragmatic decisions. He's making smart decisions. We all need to sit back and trust that he is on our team. But sometimes things just take time to work out. Just give him the time to work it out, okay? Just give him the time. No, there is nothing normal or okay about it. But there's also, I'm sorry, he incited a mob against people who had lost their children in a school shooting. There's nothing normal about that either. So, again, I don't agree with the judgment, but, he should have known better. He knew what he was getting into. Young conservative here, and I completely agree on the Alex Jones issue. He should have known. Would like to see him back, but you've got it right. It has to be baby steps. Love the nuanced takes you give. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, we were celebrating. It's very exciting. Oh, don't worry about it. You can super chat something else. Keep the super chat for a really good and insightful comment.
Good goal. So I'm not against it.
Co-op.
Yeah, we're not against them, and I really appreciate Rosanna's point about training and collectivity. I think that's incredibly important. And we support all forms of democracy. Democracy in the workplace, whether that takes the form of a union or a worker-owned co-op or what have you. But the fight for democracy and the fight for socialism is also, it has to be carried out politically. It's not just something that, it's not just a workplace question. It's not just an economic organization question. That was Lenin's big thing. It has to be a political fight as well for state power. So there's nothing, co-ops have a role to play on the way to socialism, and certainly within socialism, but it's not it's not the road to socialism, I don't think.
Co-ops is not the way forward. We favor them, good, more the merrier, but the fight for socialism, as everybody has indicated, is the fight for political power of the working class and people. you know.
The fight
And
for
that is both a
socialism
class
is the fight
struggle
for political
and a
power.
democratic or political struggle.
What he just said, the fight for socialism is the fight for political power.
And when we get there, I imagine for a time we're going to have different forms of socialist property. State, collective, co-ops, you name it. And they will work in unison, maybe sometimes in conflict, you know.
All right, they're basically just talking about co-ops now, so I think we can round that one out. Guys, next we're going to be watching something else. Let me just, actually, you know what? Let me do this. These actually weren't as cringy as I thought they were going to be. Maybe the socialists will be more cringy. So next up, guys, we're going to watch just for fun. We're doing a full socialism night. And so what I want to watch next is this DSA National Post-Election Call. This is the Democratic Socialists of America, and they're going to talk about the election results, and they're going to talk about their organizing. And I think it's going to be, we might not watch the whole thing, but I want to watch at least a little bit of it to see how it goes. Cyrus says, Carlin, do you have any POC friends? I know your state's pretty void of my people, which is why I'm shocked that New Hampshire is kind of blue. Okay, so first off, New Hampshire isn't blue. New Hampshire's purple. But the thing of it is there are a lot of libertarians in New Hampshire, and libertarians tend not to really care who gets sent to Washington, D.C. because we see New Hampshire as the place that we're focusing on. We care far more about who is in our state government than who is in the federal government. And so we don't really care, and Republicans put up horrible candidates for federal government, and so we don't vote for them, and so they lose. So I wouldn't. New Hampshire is not a blue state, but again, this is the fault of the Republican Party for running really shitty candidates that libertarians can't vote for. We could not vote for any of the candidates that they had on the ballot for federal office. So it is a myth that we're a blue state. Do I have POC friends? Yes, absolutely. I have a wide variety of friends. My friends aren't even just in New Hampshire, although even in the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire does have a diverse group of people in it. Right? They're not just all white, I promise you. They're absolutely like black, they're absolutely like Latinx, if you will. But I have friends all over the country, and even like in other countries. And so yeah, I have my friend group is very diverse, but thank you for asking, Cyrus. I do not discriminate. I do not care what the color of your skin is at all. No. I'm not. Cyrus, you don't always have to send in a super chat. I feel bad. I feel like I'm taking all your money. I'm not offended. I'm sorry that if you're offended, but in my state, South Carolina, you would be considered far right but burn at the state for the Joshua thing. Love you. Be safe. Yeah, South Carolina is very different than New Hampshire, but South Carolina is beautiful. I've been to South Carolina a number of times. I actually do have friends in South Carolina, believe it or not. But no, we do live in two very different places. But no, I'm not offended at all. You're fine. Ooh, a Romanian. Well, my husband's from Ukraine, and so we actually do a lot of there are work programs that come in to like support the tourism programs and stuff like that. Anyway, guys, let's get into this national DSA post-election call and see what's what. Mount that like button if you haven't already. We do Socialism Saturday, Saturdays at 6 p.m. So you can always find us here. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Hello, everyone. Very excited to have you joining us here today. My name is Ashik
Oh.
Siddiq, and I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America's National Political Committee. And I'm very excited tonight because we're talking about something that as socialists, I don't think we get to talk about nearly enough, which is our wins. And we have a lot of really exciting ones this week that we'll be hearing about from comrades all across the country.
Comrade!
Just to start, if you're joining us on Zoom, I see over 100 folks joining us already just in the first minute. Thanks for joining us on time. We're also live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So whatever platform you're on, feel free to drop in the chat with your name, pronouns, location.
I feel like socialists are like the younger, more hip version of the communists. I don't feel like we see a lot of like younger people who consider themselves to be communists. They all consider themselves to be socialists. And I bet you that's a reflection of Bernie Sanders. This is Bernie Sanders' influence right here.
And chapter. And thanks very much for joining us. And feel free to share the link after you watch it. So this election day, we're now several days past it. In a lot of ways, it's a relief. In a lot of ways, the conditions that we thought we might be organizing in are, not nearly as bad as they might be. But there are some pretty alarming signs that we're dealing with all across the country. Fascism is now increasingly normalized, with the rise of the far right just being accepted in a lot of places and increasingly, normalized in ways that are very disturbing for working people and people of all marginalized identities. And we know that the Democrats, whatever victories they may have won, won't in the elections, won't do the necessary.
Hang on, Tom J. Thank you for the super chat. Everyone is sleeping on the most interesting and perhaps smartest contender for 2024. Even if he doesn't win, Larry Elder is going to red pill and truth bomb like we've never seen before. Black men like me are going to help. I think that's interesting. Is Trump's Twitter back up? Hang on. Holy shit. I promise, Tom J, I'm going to come back to your super chat, but Trump's Twitter's back up, guys! Oh my god! Oh my god! He's back! He can tweet right now. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I need to tweet and joy about this. This is amazing. I love this. There are so many good Trump tweets. Oh my god. Oh my god. There are so many amazing Trump tweets that we're now going to have access to. Oh, yes, Trendle, I will turn on closed captions. I apologize about that. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I got so excited. Okay. Thank you for alerting me, Douglas. Okay, Tom J. So Larry Elder, Larry Elder's not my personal cup of tea, but the thing of it is I know Larry Elder reaches a lot of people and a lot of people like him. And so I think that he would reach a lot of people if he ran. Not my personal cup of tea, but if he's your candidate, then go forth and conquer, man. I mean it. Like, I think the more people we have teaching, the more truth tellers out there, the better. And I think that Larry Elder does reach a lot of people. So I don't no shade at him. He's just not my personal choice. But that's all right. Oh my god. Oh my god. It does keep removing me as a follower to Brooklyn Way. It does. I think it's probably like reloading. It's reloading all of his stuff. The Orange Man is back. Now, Trump made a statement earlier. Does anyone know what Trump said in his statement about would he take his Twitter account? Because I saw that he made a statement. I didn't see what it was, though. Oh my god. The is going to be spectacular. Just like spectacular. Oh my god. The world is going to be so much better if Trump okay, so at Real Donald Trump is his if you follow my so at Real Donald Trump is his Twitter. I just tweeted it out. Oh god, it's going to be amazing. Okay, we need to focus on the Democratic Socialists. Hang on. I hope Trump takes it. Trump has to come back to Twitter. He has to. His first tweet should be, "Join me on Truth Social, a great social network. Some may say the best." It should be his tweet. Wait, did I just see? No, that's not. Okay. Everyone's retweeting Trump's last tweet. This might be even better than if Trump had actually won the election. This might be even better. Martinator says, no need to address this now, since I want to hear what these socialists have to say. But what are my opinions on Larry more specifically? Socialism first. I don't find him to be an authentic, genuine person is my big beef. Now, some might argue that that is not a good enough reason to not vote for someone. I can certainly understand that perspective. I just have a very, very, I have a very low tolerance for people who I think are shills. And by shills, I mean they're blatantly pandering to a tribe, and I don't like it. And it doesn't like I don't like it, and I think Larry Elder's doing that. Now, that said, if you like Larry Elder and you like the things that he's saying, who really cares what I think, man? Like, this is a me issue. This is not a you issue. This is a me issue. If you like the things he has to say, if you like his policies, if you like him as a person, support him. I've also heard many things about Larry Elder, well, womanizing. And while I don't necessarily care who you sleep with or how many people you sleep with, I have heard that he doesn't always treat women well. And that for me is, kind of shady. I don't like it. And again, these are not policy disagreements. This is my personal kind of vibe. And if you like him and his policies, support him, man. I can acknowledge absolutely that people might think that those are not good enough reasons to not support someone, and that's fine. That's we're allowed to have differences of opinions on that. All right, we're going back to socialism now. Everyone pay attention.
Necessary organizing beyond these to really deliver gains for working people. But DSA, as a national organization, from our chapters across whole regions, won pretty big this year. We expanded our legislative caucuses into red and purple areas, as well as blue states. We led field efforts with our membership to stop abortion bans in red states in particular. These are really incredible victories that were powered by our resources, our members, and the dues that we pay. These came together in pretty exciting ways that demonstrate the strength of our whole organization, from entire chapters throwing down to organize members and mobilize their communities to win major victories in their localities, to chapters pooling resources to organize across whole states, to our national organization coordinating to amplify and deliver resources where they're really impactful. And a lot of the victories that we're talking about today are ballot measures, which we can consider part of DSA's theory of change, which are organizing to win non-reformist reforms, which are victories that deliver gains for the working class and change the terrain on which workers can raise expectations for each other and organize for even more victories to come in ways that cohere the class.
Yes,
and
I think
build the power together that we need.
I think Rand Paul is genuine, and I would love to see Rand Paul run for president, man. I really would. I think he'd be great. He would be a candidate that he would be a Republican that I could vote for. I will say that.
Need to win the world we want. So we'll be hearing tonight from organizers about how we can win, really, if we organize in any environment. And overall, I hope we come away from this with the sense that we're continuing to build our power as an organization. This is a great time to join Democratic Socialists of America and keep building the power together we need to win the world we want. So I will pass it on to my comrade Christian on the National Political Committee, who can say a bit more about this political moment and what happened this week. Take it away, Christian.
Thanks so much, Ashik. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Christian Hernandez, and I'm a proud member of DSA, currently serving on the National Political Committee and joining you tonight from Texas. We like to start these calls with a bit of political framing of the moment that we're in. One, because our conditions are not static, and two, to understand our place as DSA in the numerous forces dictating the country and the world that we live in. Now, as 2022 comes to an end and we're 2 years into a pandemic that has left millions with long-term health issues and many of us grieving incalculable loss, it's hard not to feel like the world's on fire. The climate crisis and the denial of it by those in power has destroyed entire communities and left many to fend for themselves, despite the knowledge that only a global response will work to change the course of humanity. As global leaders like Petro in Colombia are committing to leadership in the fossil fuel arena, the US has still not passed a Green New Deal, a policy badly needed to ensure that we are equipped to withstand and manage future weather
Green
phenomena.
New Deal.
The overturning of Roe serves as a stark reminder of how much power is in the hands of a few, and the decades-long strategy paid off for Republicans who targeted abortion as a protected right. With inflation and housing costs rising and wages staying very much the same, the working class is being sacrificed at the altar of capitalism as corporations and billionaires are not only staying rich, but have gotten richer. They've also taken to investing in elections, spending way more than in previous years, and these are our enemies. We cannot dismiss the radicalization, however, of the right, and that despite Trump being defeated by progressive forces, Trumpism, fake news, and conspiracy is very much still entrenched in the right-wing forces that we have a duty to beat. And despite the strength of our enemies, we can still win. Because if there's one thing the midterms showed us is that organized people can still beat organized money. We can't outspend them, but we cannot organize them. And we can never forget that there are many more of us than there are of them. The midterms gave us an opening, and DSA, as you'll hear about shortly, seized the moment. We are sitting at a 75% win rate of all of our nationally endorsed fights across the country and a 59% win rate for the entire year. The squad, including our 4 DSA members in Congress, secured their re-election and even added a few new members, including soon-to-be Congressman Greg Casar, a DSA member from Austin, and soon-to-be Congresswoman Summer Lee, who beat back the AIPAC machine not only once, but twice, proving that the Israel lobby strategy of pitting Black electeds against the cause of Palestine is not unbeatable, despite the millions brought in by those 3 major PACs. We also can't forget Gen Z, who not only got the first Gen Z member of Congress elected, Maxwell Frost, but who showed out. The voting power of that generation in particular is no doubt majorly responsible for the historically dismal showing of the GOP. The red wave was reduced to a trickle thanks to their votes and thanks to the efforts of groups who centered abortion and workers' rights at the ballot box. Now, this was not the case everywhere.
Abortion and workers' rights were their primary issue. For all the people who still ignore me when I tell you that the Republicans lost because of abortion, they're telling you that they won because of abortion, that the socialists fucking won because of abortion. Please, please, Republicans, please drop the abortion issue. You guys need to just stop. You are going to continue to lose if you don't drop this issue. It is going to continue to work against you. And it will continue to be a problem until you just concede and focus on other things.
The results in New York and Florida show how the establishment Democrats are not reliable opponents against the GOP. We need to build an alternative force for governance that moves power from the ruling class and protects and expands democracy at every level and in every terrain. And we must do that while beating back the drums of fear, the propaganda and misinformation that allows for conspiracy and fake news, and eradicate fear of others by stressing our shared interests and connecting the dots of every compounded crisis back to capitalism. And while the balance of forces in Congress are still shaking out, notably with a runoff in Georgia next month and a Democratic victory in Nevada, the slim GOP lead in Congress may limit our ability to move federal legislation over the next 2 years. So our primary task at this moment is to build the left in order to fight the right. And we've begun the task in the realm of a united front against anti-abortion measures. As DSA, we are 3 for 3 on anti-abortion initiatives we fought in. The power of being in a national organization is that DSA members have mechanisms to pool resources, utilize organizing tools and staff support, share lessons, build on existing momentum, as you'll hear, and provide solidarity from across the country. It also allows us to wage state-level fights,
that, Catherine.
and we're more equipped to do this with 14 DSA caucuses already in existence in Pennsylvania, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, New York, Delaware, Maryland.
Hang on. I'm not sure you're going to get very far there, Carlin. If you earnestly believe you are fighting for a baby's life, that's not something you're going to back away from. Fine. But then you're going to lose every close election for the rest of your life, and you're going to save 0 lives because you're going to give the Democrats power to do whatever the fuck they want. So there will be no less abortions. There'll probably end up being more abortions because history and every other circumstance shows us that when you restrict abortions, it doesn't prevent women from having abortions. It prevents women from having safe abortions. And then what's going to happen is you're going to be ladled with all of these like unsafe procedures, and they're going to be all over the news. Like if a woman gets hurt having an illegal abortion, that's going to be all over the news for months ahead of time. So until Republicans want to take this issue seriously and acknowledge that what they are doing is not working and it is not saving any babies and it is not reducing abortion, and they're going to end up losing every close election for the rest of their lives, I don't care. I don't care if Republicans lose or not. It makes absolutely no difference to me. It's just like, this is a reality that they have not yet wrapped their heads around.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Colorado, Hawaii, Massachusetts, and DC. We also build our electoral power, our power in general, by strengthening working class institutions outside of election cycles through public power campaigns, tenant and workplace organizing projects like our Emergency Workplace Organizing Committee, or EWOC, that is giving workers the tools and knowledge to self-organize, and standing on picket lines like we have with UAW workers, with transit workers, with airline workers, with nurses and teachers, with Starbucks workers, like we will with UPS workers. No matter the shape or form, the right has made it clear that they will do what they can to take away every ounce of democracy we have left in this country. And as democratic socialists, this is a direct attack on the fundamental vision that we have for the world. And our best chance at building the left comes down to the everyday work of organizing. We can grow the seeds of the new world while extinguishing the flames that promise to burn everything that we hold dear. The immediate future of this country is filled with political opportunity, as long as we accept the responsibility to do it and gather the courage to see it done. The right will always have fear as a tool.
Hang on, let me get this to a super chat coming in from Martinator. There it is. Even Newt Gingrich specifically left out abortion from the contract with America because he knew that issues that wouldn't garner 70% or more of voters behind them would make the whole thing flop. Yeah, and this is like, I just wish that like Republicans and pro-lifers would acknowledge that they are literally saving 0 babies when they do this. They've saved 0 children. Like, there are no additional babies being born just because they completely fucked their elections for like the foreseeable future. They accomplished nothing. This is like, people need, these people, wait, God, no, that way. These people, the socialists, it's opposite on my side. That's why it's hard for me. The socialists, they are goal oriented, okay? They acknowledge realities and they focus on the goal, and then they organize around that goal. The pro-lifers do not acknowledge at all that outlawing abortion is not actually going to reduce abortion. They do not acknowledge this reality at all. And so it's like they choose the wrong tactic to try to achieve what they want. And the reason they're choosing the wrong tactic is because they're choosing the easier tactic of outlawing something over the hard tactic of changing hearts and minds. Where the pro-lifers should be focused on is changing hearts and minds. But they're not doing that. They're just trying to force their will on everyone through the state. And they're changing nothing. They are saving 0 babies. There are going to be 0 less abortions as a result of this. And they're completely fucking their elections for the rest of their lives. And it's just like, can we have a reasonable discussion about what will actually save babies and what will not save babies? Because this is not going to work. It's so frustrating. Like, and it shows you that they don't actually care about saving babies, too, is the thing. It shows you that they don't actually care about saving babies. No, it is not demonstrably untrue. Everything I'm saying is backed up by what has happened in other countries. There is no reality. There is 0 reality in which Republicans and pro-lifers are saving any babies. But they won't acknowledge that, which means that it's not actually about saving babies. It's not about that at all. It's just about winning. That's all it is. It's about when now all the pro-lifers are having feelings in my chat right now. And I just want to remind you, pro-lifers, that I have 2 rules in my chat. Number 1, don't be a dick. Number 2, no whining. And pro-lifers are very prone to whine. And so if I ask you to stop whining in my chat, you're going to do it or you're going to be blocked. You're going to stop one way or the other. There are 0 babies that are going to be saved. There is no data that you can show me, and I know because I've looked, that contradict anything I'm saying right now. You are wrong if you're saying that I'm wrong. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I've addressed this issue on multiple circumstances. And by the way, if you guys had listened to me 6 fucking months ago, maybe you wouldn't have gotten your asses handed to you in the election. Oh, Nick, thank you. Oh God, I'm sorry. Nick, you're good. You're good. So, if you want to save babies, focus on things that are actually going to save babies. Focus on changing hearts and minds. Focus on changing culture. Stop trying to be authoritarians about it. You're going to keep losing if you don't stop being authoritarian about it. If you want to keep losing, keep doing what you're doing. But if the elections didn't demonstrate to you that it's a losing strategy, like, I don't know what to say. Yes, average person, you can have a wrench. And by the way, guys, the people I'm giving wrenches to are members of my locals community, and I know them. If you want to get a wrench on my channel, join my locals community, come to our community Zooms, show me you're not a crazy person, or at least if you are crazy, you're my type of crazy person, and you can have a wrench as well.
And we have to present collective action as the alternative. We can let them underestimate us, but we can't let them out-organize us. It is completely up to us. So let's
yes,
get to work.
Trendolin, you can have a wrench.
Thank you, Christian. So our first guest tonight is one of our, I think, more exciting wins across the country from Mid-Hudson Valley, New York. We have Sarah Hunter-Shrestha, who's, I think, in every sense of the term, like what we would consider a cadre candidate, somebody.
Hang on, let me grab this super chat. Sorry, guys. Martinator said what Metastep says. What did Metastep say? Metastep sometimes says smart things, and then he sometimes says things I disagree with. What did he say? He said, I'm physically pro-life, but I'm politically pro-choice. And then he said, but I think they do want to save babies, but allow themselves to be blinded from the big picture. Yes, Metastep, I agree with everything you just said. I 100% agree with Metastep as well. We agree on the prognosis entirely, and I agree that we can't force it. Trying to impose policy through compulsion is authoritarian. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I meant philosophically. Excellent. Nerd2 says, I still can't believe that racist tweet Disneyland put out. Oh, yo, that racist tweet was crazy. Did you guys see that in order to celebrate Black Panther 2, Disneyland put out a tweet about a special Black Panther like cocktail and meal that you could buy at Disneyland, and it was like purple drink and chicken. It was the most racist fucking depiction of Black people. It was like, what kind of food signifies African Americans? Purple drink and chicken. It was awful. It was so bad. It's on my Twitter somewhere if you want to go find it. Purple drank. I'm sorry, purple drank. It's like, bro. Oh, God. Anyway, okay, let's focus.
Who started out as a DSA organizer for years, in her chapter and at the national level with the Eco-Socialist Working Group. I'm proud to have worked with her. And Berwin came from organizing across many chapters in the country that helped beat back somebody who was in an...
Everyone that I just gave wrenches to, because I haven't given out new wrenches in a while, don't abuse the privilege. I am entrusting all of you. Don't abuse the privilege. Like, I will take the wrench away if it is abused, okay?
Incumbent, and helped organize with one of our major campaigns across the country for public renewables. So Sarahana, take it away.
Hi, everyone. This is Sarahana calling in from Mid-Hudson Valley in Ulster Park. Yeah, so we had, our chapter is very small, very scrappy, but very motivated. And I think that through the issue-based campaigns that we did, such
the
as
new
Public
moderators
Power,
are like, we're banning everyone.
and the Tax the Rich campaign that we had really been involved in just before Public Power, we were really getting a sense that all of these campaigns and policies are way more popular than what people think. And we did a little county legislature race right before we did mine, and that was in Kingston. And we ran somebody who was a farmer and a socialist and an environmentalist. And we unseated the chair of the county legislature, who had been there for decades and who was aligned with the real estate. And, Kingston is one of those places where people are getting displaced very quickly due to just over skyrocketing rents and too much control from the real estate industry. And it really gave us a little bit of a sort of a sample size for what we could do. And it's been really interesting to go from the primary to the general, because I think we're in a sort of a slightly purple district where, even though we were in a safe seat for the general election, it was not a shoe-in, because the Democrats don't make up the 50% of the turnout, and there's a huge number of people who are not affiliated with any party, and you don't know which way they lean. Sometimes they just go with, most times they just go with who they like. And so we had this rare opportunity to do a full 1-year campaign, starting from the primary, which we kicked off November of 2021, and ending just now, November 8th, which really gave us an opportunity to talk to so many people of so many backgrounds. And in the primary, what we learned is that there is so much potential for capturing people's faith in just something different than whatever is going on right now. There were just we found that a lot of the primary voters in our district were not worn out by this idea that we could do more. And we won by around a little bit over 500 votes, which for us was, we were very happy with that margin, because we ran as a complete newcomer against somebody who was known for so long. And we got almost 8,000 votes, which is a lot for a state assembly race. And then in the general, the general was very illuminating to see what is happening on the other side, how people are
how are they going to interpret this?
From being a self-identified Democrat to, leaning towards switching to Republican, or not voting. And there was hardly it was very rare to encounter these types of people and not find a common ground on things like just, everyday needs for people, the influence of corporations on our government, and just frustration with the status quo not working for everything that people are struggling with. And we would even have, scenarios where we would be talking to a law enforcement household, and we would be aligned on so many issues that I really think of as socialist issues. And I ran pretty openly as a socialist. The one debate I had against my Republican opponent was on a slightly conservative media outlet, and they asked me what socialism, they asked me if I was a socialist, and I described it in a way that I identify. And I feel like hardly anybody blinked. Everybody was down.
Oh, that's not alarming at all. How did she describe it?
Test for us.
Yes,
really
she did. Yes, she did.
Being in this like not solidly blue district, it was a really good study of how various types of voters, how they think, and I think that's what we are hoping to build on after this win. And it feels like nothing is going to be easy, but it feels like it's really full of potential here. So we're going to try to do what we can. Everybody is still fired up from campaigning in our for our long 1-year campaign. So I think we'll be ready to go soon again.
Socialism just means sharing. It just means sharing, guys. That's all
Thanks
it
so
means.
much,
Doesn't that sound
Sarhana.
nice?
So I just want to go over, so Sarhana is one of many electoral campaigns that we endorsed in this electoral cycle from the national org. I just want to quickly run through some numbers about like how impressively we've actually done across the org. Can I get the slides back up? Thank you. So in 2022, DSA has run in 126 campaigns across the country, and our win rate is 66 of them, which is 59% of nationally endorsed campaigns, which is pretty amazing.
Nothing in New Hampshire.
I don't
that
remember
makes me
offhand
feel
how that compares
happy.
with previous years,
Nothing
but this
in
is
New
pretty
Hampshire
good
at all.
because in all our campaigns,
This is scary.
we're ready to win or lose. Like,
holy shit. Okay, so the red ones are where, holy shit. This is terrifying. The off-red ones are where they had campaigns. The red states are where Democratic Socialists won their campaigns. And it says under the 126 campaigns, 66 wins. Bro. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, nothing in New Hampshire, of course. Although, to be fair, there is actually a legitimate communist in New Hampshire that is registered as a libertarian, and I don't know if he won his seat in the, I think he was actually a state rep. I don't think he went back to the state house, but he is a legitimate there was a state rep in New Hampshire last year who ended up leaving the Democratic Party because they weren't communist enough. He's like a legitimate communist, and I think he became a libertarian. But I don't think he went back to the state house. Wow. That map is clarifying, isn't it?
Our chapters and everyone who's throwing down for these campaigns puts it all out on the line and expects we're up against huge money. We're up against the entire capitalist power structure, whether it's at the local, state, or national level. So to be developing the muscles that we can now win almost 2/3 of campaigns that we endorse is pretty amazing. And that just shows that we're really starting to build real power in a lot of places, and more chapters are running electoral campaigns. The ones that run, even if they don't win the cycle, they're building the muscles that they can use for future campaigns or for other types of work that can coordinate together. Can we get the next slide? And not only are we running and winning individual races, but these are starting to come together in really building the bench, where we now have 14 state caucuses, which means more than one candidate who's won at the level of government, and hundreds of elected officials across a whole bunch of states. So yeah, the map is growing. It's turning red in a good way, and we should be really proud of this and the work that we're supporting each other in doing. So now that's just an overview of the electoral campaigns. But what I think is really exciting in this cycle is that we have thrown down across this organization in a bigger way than we ever have for ballot measures, which are all kinds of policies. But
listen, I'll tell you this: the libertarians are doubling down on ballot measures. It's a way we can get tangible wins. The socialists are doing the same things. Everyone needs to be paying attention to the ballot measures, because I'll tell you what, they use the ballot measures to get people to turn out to vote. Do you want to know why Gretchen Whitmer won in Michigan? Anyone want to guess why Gretchen Whitmer won in Michigan? Because there was a ballot measure on abortion. If people are getting turned out to vote for the ballot measure on abortion, they're of course going to vote for the flipping Democrat.
Especially this year around abortion, those are some of the big wins that we want to highlight, that we were able to take on really powerful campaigns that were trying to continue rolling back reproductive rights in many states. And at the national level of the organization, we've also developed a pilot program that's been really successful in delivering direct grants of resources to chapters across states that are running ballot measures. And I think we got a pretty good return on our investment this year, which we'll hear about. So I'm going to hand it over to Suze Rochelle to talk about these abortion campaigns.
Thanks, Ashik. Hi, everyone. My name's Suze Rochelle. I'm a member of the National Electoral Committee, and we helped coordinate, as Ashik mentioned, a couple of really incredible ballot initiatives and ballot measure works across 3 different states. And so you'll hear more from folks in all 3 of those states about how they actually pulled off the incredible wins that we saw the other night in Kentucky, Montana, and then earlier this year in Kansas. But just kind of to give a little context of how this work came to be, we knew that, with the Dobbs decision in the fall of Roe, that really was a generation-defining moment of radicalization for a lot of people, a lot of folks who had maybe been on this.
A generational defining moment of radicalization. A generational defining moment of radicalization. That's how they approached this. And we knew that was true at the time, too, because I was forcing people to listen to how they were talking about this at the time, and they were saying exactly the same thing. They knew. They always knew. They always knew. I think that everyone should be allowed to vote. I think that listen, man, you want me to be blunt? The stupidest possible thing that the right could do is push any sort of measure that says that women are not allowed to vote, that people under 30 are not allowed to vote, that unmarried people are not allowed to vote. It is the stupidest possible position that you can take. There are many people that disagree with you on abortion. You do not. You know what this is? This is the right's cope. Because the pro-life movement tricked the right into believing that everyone was pro-life and that the pro-lifers were the majority and that people didn't disagree with the abortion decision. When I was screaming, a lot of people fucking disagree with you guys. You do not have the majority on this. So if you guys want to continue losing, please, for the love of God, try to push any measure that said women shouldn't be able to vote because they won't vote for us. It is the stupidest possible thing that you could push, is my opinion on it. My God. If you want to embarrass them, I mean, I guess that's your choice, but it means is embarrassing them worth losing every election for the rest of your life? Is it worth it? That's what you need to be asking yourself. Yeah, I could really own the left, but I would lose every election for the rest of my life. And I would give the left all the power because they're actually focused on goal-oriented activity and I'm focused on pissing them off. It's just not a smart move, dude. I'm sorry. It's not smart. It's not strategic. You got to focus on the goal.
Sidelines before, not fully paying attention, realized how much was at stake and really how much we had to lose. And I think you saw that in the huge waves of folks that came out in the primaries and the general election to protect abortion in the recent months. And so we knew that as socialists, we had both.
It is certainly accelerationist. It is that, listen, I'm not kidding about acceleration. I'm not. I see, Martinator, you said you're kidding about acceleration. I'm actually not. I think that things are going to get worse before they're going to get better, and that the fastest possible way to the libertarian society that I want, or at least to get the state of New Hampshire to secede from the Union, is to continue allowing Democrats to win. So I'm actually not joking about accelerationism. I think that accelerating democratic foolishness is actually going to give us the libertarian society that I want. It may not be what's best for the country, but it's going to give me what I want quicker. And so I'm cool with it, man. Either way.
the obligation to be deeply embedded in this fight, but we also knew that we had really powerful perspectives and messaging here that we weren't going to get from the Democrats. You know, Democrats talk all the time about
See, they don't like Democrats,
but then they don't want to fund healthcare either. And so we knew that, again, we had an obligation as socialists to make sure that the fights that we were leading were really inclusive and tied to the working class and tied to that broader picture of
you should, Drew, come to PorcFest. Come to PorcFest in June and check it out.
Chapters really built this work from the ground up at a grassroots level, again, in Kansas, Kentucky, and Montana. And we realized at the national level that what we could best do is help coordinate and put people in touch with one another and to have them be able to share learnings, perspectives, guidance, tools, resources, all of those things, and also to plug in volunteers from around the country to the campaigns that they were running. So again, I'm going to let the folks from the different campaigns speak to the incredible work that they did there, but really just a testament to the value of a national organization and to be able to learn from your comrades in other states fighting very similar fights. You know, the terrain might be different, the context might be slightly different, but there is so much power in that solidarity and shared learning. So really excited to hear about how they pulled it off. I'm going to pass it over to Melinda from Kansas, who really helped drive the first exciting win for abortion.
Listen, Drew is saying he's thinking about going to PorcFest. If you are interested in what is going on in New Hampshire with the libertarian culture that's being built here, it is fabulous, guys. Come to PorcFest in June. You can get your tickets at porcfest.com. That's not it's not about bacon. It's about pork is for porcupine, which is like the symbol for libertarian. PorcFest.com. Come to PorcFest in June. A lot of my community is coming to PorcFest. We're gonna have a whole meetup. It's gonna be great. PorcFest is legitimately the very best week of my year. I love it so much. It's so fun. You can do whatever you want. It is an anarchist pop-up community where literally it's if you want to know what it's like to live in Ancapistan, come to PorcFest. We take over an entire campground. No police allowed. No police. There are no rules. You can do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt people or take people's stuff. And it's completely safe. You can bring kids. There are a ton of kids. They do kid things. Adults do adult things. A lot of adult things. There's a whole naked community that you can be involved in or not. There's naked Olympics. There's people who shoot guns. There's last year a dude ran the whole naked Olympics wearing nothing but his gun. The naked people have to stay in the naked area. They have to put on clothes if they're coming outside of the naked area. But yeah, in the naked area, they do walk around naked. They do all sorts of activities. There's a hot tub. You have to shower before you get in the hot tub. It is truly yeah, if you want. Yes. But not being around kids. They have their area. It's a designated. But anyway, no, I'm serious. PorcFest is the best event of the year. You have to come. It's so much fun. I will be there all week. I'm looking forward to meeting so many people. Thank you, Brooklyn Way, for hanging out. I really, really appreciate you. And I've been appreciating the DMs. I that's kind of a heart, kind of. All right.
Abortion access in DSA.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Melinda Levon in Lawrence, Kansas. Can the host turn my video back on? There we go. Thank you. So in the state of Kansas, our state legislature is only in session from January to May. And so we knew by May of 2021.
Oh yeah, Jeremy did a whole COPS episode about it.
A constitutional amendment in the state of Kansas that would open the doors for any type of all-out ban with no considerations whatsoever for the life of pregnant people. Our maternal mortality rates are already really bad here in the state of Kansas. Our chapter decided to first try to get to better.
Trendlet, I appreciate you. We all need to move to New Hampshire and create the Comrade Carlin commune. I don't know about creating my own commune. I'm fine without a commune, but If you want to learn more about moving to New Hampshire, contact the Free State Project. The Free State Project's whole reason for being is to help people move to New Hampshire. They have a whole real estate company. There are tours you can take around New Hampshire. It's legit, man. Let them show you around. Yeah, exactly, Jan. Pregnant people. Pregnant people. Well spotted.
No other voters across our state. Where we live in Lawrence, we have the most registered Democrats per capita. This is definitely where some of there's just a higher concentration of leftists and socialists and democratic socialists. Of course, there's Bernie supporters and DSA members all across the state, but Lawrence is just a very
told you this is all Bernie
population. And
this is
look
Bernie's
at political
fault.
maps of the state of Kansas, and you see one blue dot in the northeast section of the state.
This is a
that's
blueberry
Douglas
cobbler
County.
beer.
And so we didn't really understand a lot of the rural voters in the state. We have 105 counties.
So the other thing, and this is the last thing I'll say about PorcFest, I promise. The highlight of PorcFest for me this year was Beergasm. Let me tell you about Beergasm. Okay, New Hampshire has a thriving craft beer community because of the libertarians. So there are so many craft beers here. And Beergasm is an event where your ticket to get into Beergasm is that you have to bring 4 craft beers with you. Like any craft beers you want, but you have to bring 4 of them to share with everyone. And then everyone comes and we all put all of our beer out on tables. And then everyone opens the beers and you can sample whatever beers you want. And we're talking like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of beers. And everyone's just standing around, drinking beer, talking about beer, trying different beers, like talking about their favorite beers. I got so fucking drunk at Beergasm. I had so many. I drank a lot because there were so many beers and I wanted to try them all and they were all so good. I had one beer that was like aged in an absinthe barrel and it was so good, but Beergasm was the best by far.
5 counties are rather urban and the other 100 counties are considered rural areas. And half the state lives in 5 counties and the other half of
that's
the
really
state
good.
Lives spread out over the other 100. So we did a text bank in 2021 and we asked people that are unaffiliated voters
Yes,
and registered
lots of mountains.
Democrats.
PorcFest is in the
You
mountains.
should know that in the state of Kansas, there's a little over 900,000 registered Republicans. There's over 500,000 unaffiliated voters, and then around 500,000 registered Democrats. So registered Democrats in the state are like 3rd level underdogs to even begin with.
Oh, mead is good.
So we asked people
I like
for their
mead.
level of support for $15 an hour minimum wage, abortion access, housing problems being resolved, and marijuana legalization, because we don't have that here either. Marijuana possession.
Listen, one of the smartest things Republicans could do is get behind cannabis legalization. It is absolutely stupid that weed is still like a Schedule 1 narcotic. This is one of the easiest wins Republicans could ever have in the history of their lives. This is not even a controversial issue. Republicans need to get behind that, because when you get behind an issue that these people care about, you take it away from them. Okay? So these people right now, the socialists can run on legalizing weed anywhere it's not legalized. The Republicans could take the wind out of their sails on that issue by just saying, we support it. Let's stop screwing around. It's already legalized in like half the country anyway. It's so stupid that they're still fighting this.
Is a felony on your 3rd possession in the state of Kansas, even though another neighbor, Missouri, just did full recreational. So we're a hot mess over here in Kansas. We realized that no one was going to come to save us. We actually have written documentation that indicates the DNC wanted Kansas to maybe have the ban happen to be able to use it as a talking point in November. The Kansas Democratic Party, therefore, decided to not put anything into it. And the governor, totally stayed out of it. So we realized that no one was doing anything. So 3 of our chapter members here in Lawrence,
I don't
also
care.
our friend Maddie Bell.
I don't care. I don't care.
The National Sunrise Board. Maddie Bell became our social media team lead, and they did a phenomenal job. If you look at Vote No Kansas stuff on Facebook or any of the other social media streams. And Jasmine Bates became our treasurer. They did an excellent job. And then one of our co-leaders of our chapter, Joel Gallegos, was our other main organizer. So it was really a DSA project to create Vote No Kansas. We always remind people we hate Citizens United. We just did a political action committee because we wanted to keep all of our members' information really private and keep this kind of stuff away from our chapter itself. Because we traveled all over the state. We went into heavily rural areas. We were doing things that nobody else is willing to do. We ended up spending a lot of money on yard signs and bumper stickers. The next time somebody tells me yard signs don't vote, I'll fight about it, because it did seem to make a big difference, especially in our rural organizing outreach, because it makes people feel less alone and reminds people to vote. We also spent a lot of money on Spanish materials and ads, and provided Spanish support in our text banking.
Shit.
You gotta.
Yo, check this out. Dinesh D'Souza tweeted, by its own choice, CBS News is no longer on Twitter. Is that true? That's crazy. That's insane. Wow. I mean, they haven't tweeted since yesterday, so maybe it's true. Wow. That's the way. That is the way. Let's scare all news outlets off of Twitter. That would make all of life so much better. Marinator says legalization without the red tape that comes with growing it in many blue states could lower costs for it domestically and make it more difficult for cartels to profit off of the lace crap. I totally agree. Listen, I'm not unsympathetic to the arguments that come with like full legalization, which is that it is way more expensive. The taxes on weed are so ridiculous. Like it is ungodly expensive. And like there's additional red tape that you have to go through with the state. In New Hampshire, the only way they would probably legalize it in New Hampshire is if the state completely controlled it, like the liquor outlets, which I think is bullshit. And I'm not unsympathetic to that. And I think you make a good point, Marinator. I just want to take the issue off of the table for people like this.
I know the population that you're reaching out to. And we have several counties here in the state of Kansas where the majority of people that live there all speak Spanish. So geez, if the Democratic Party would just try reaching out a little bit differently, maybe they'd see some different results, because they certainly didn't have a great time in November here in Kansas. We are excited to keep organizing across the state. It turns out there are younger people, I'm just going to say Democrats under 40, that are quick to talk about fighting capitalism. And we've got
fighting capitalism. Capitalism, bingo!
So we're all looking forward to continue to organize across our state. And especially bringing DSA trainings and skills to Kansas, because the Democrats sure aren't going to do it, right? So we sure love DSA and appreciate everything we've gotten out of our membership.
The big C, capitalism. Marinator, I like you. Welcome to the community.
I can't wait to hear about Kentucky and Montana. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks so much, Melinda. Next up, let's hear from Kentucky, where we have Dan Berger.
Hey everyone, my name's Dan. My and yeah, I'm in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati DSA. Really excited to be on this call with all these amazing organizers.
I told you they don't know how to use technology.
Just incredible group of people to be included in. So
we
I'm going to tell you a little bit
make a socialism bingo card. I am. I'm going to do it next week.
Here in Kentucky. First of all, just to kind of go over where abortion is at in Kentucky. Abortion's currently banned. The fight for abortion access is primarily happening in the courts, with the ACLU and Planned Parenthood basically trying to prove through the courts that an abortion ban is unconstitutional because it attacks personal rights. So Amendment 2 is basically an attempt to beat that. And so Amendment 2 came out of a pro-life, anti-abortion House bill that passed in both state legislatures here in Kentucky. Both our House and Senate are controlled by Republicans, and we have a Democratic governor. So conservatives thought that they could push this through in a midterm to pull the wool over Kentuckians' eyes, and that we wouldn't notice. Amendment 2 attacked the ability to defend abortion in the state constitution. As I said, it's currently banned in Kentucky, and there's a hearing this Tuesday coming up that will basically kind of settle that. Amendment 2 also had a line in it about not providing funding for abortion, which was used as a red herring to distract Kentuckians into thinking that this would somehow affect their taxes. There were huge signs that said Amendment 2 will raise your taxes, something like that, all over the place, usually in front of churches and by highways. But Kentuckians aren't as stupid as conservatives and a lot of Democrats think we are. Still, we knew that our campaign was going to have to be a campaign of educating voters while fighting rampant misinformation. So a little bit about my chapter in DSA. I'm in Northern Kentucky / Cincinnati. Northern Kentucky is sometimes called the Cincinnati suburbs, but you really want to be careful about who you say that to. Our chapter's medium-sized, and we've never won an electoral campaign before. Previously, we've done electoral campaigns in Ohio, ballot initiatives, and ran city council candidates. So this was our first electoral campaign in Kentucky. So we really, really had to analyze our strengths and weaknesses and use this campaign as a way to sort of grow as a chapter, and then also just kind of to get behind something that was so important. We had a huge influx of new members from our organizing work when we were organizing pro-abortion protests after the Dobbs decision fell. And we wanted to get those folks onboarded and into a campaign that we knew they were passionate about working on. We also knew that we would definitely not be the only ones working against this amendment.
They really do.
But
yes, they do.
We learned
Absolutely.
from our comrades in Canvas, particularly Melinda. Thank you, Melinda. It's an honor to be on this call with you. We knew that the Planned Parenthood campaign wasn't going to do the outreach needed to win in Kentucky. We also knew that there wasn't any way that just us in Northern Kentucky could defeat this amendment on our own. So we started doing a ton of outreach, and we started pestering other chapters and YDSA chapters in the area. And our comrades down in Louisville had basically the same instincts as us and said, hey, we need to do this and we need to do it statewide. So like I said, Kansas made us aware that Planned Parenthood and their campaign wasn't going to be the well-organized sort of campaign that they were saying it would be. And we realized that they weren't going to do the outreach needed to the sort of quote unquote lower turnout voters and all of the unaffiliated voters, so the non-Democrats in the state. This was kind of confirmed for us about midway through the cycle when their campaign switched their entire staff. They hired a new campaign manager, the same one from Kansas. And the relationship that we had that was pretty good with them from the beginning started to kind of sour. Really, all we wanted them to do.
I want to fast forward a little bit. I want to see if they talk about anything else more national. This is like more local stuff. Not that this isn't important, but
I just wanted to start off by saying that I think one of the things that I've learned, like Dan was just saying, is that we do have like a huge opportunity to organize, especially in rural, red, low population states, because yeah, a lot of the times
this is important. Okay, everyone needs to pay attention to this. They're talking about organizing in deep red states. The Democrat Socialists of America are talking about organizing in deep red states. Now, the reason I bring this up is because the Republicans, and I know this for an absolute fact, the Republicans ignore deep blue areas. They ignore them totally and completely. They don't bother to run candidates. They don't bother to put things on the ballot. They ignore them totally and completely, okay? The literal Democratic Socialists of America are telling us they're not ignoring deep red places like Montana. They're looking for opportunities in the reddest of the red. And that should tell you something. Because I'll bet you that in addition to ignoring deep blue places, Republicans also ignore deep red places because they take them for granted and they just assume that those deep red places are always going to be with them. Well, the Democratic Socialists of America are going in and actually trying to do things.
Centrist Democratic establishment is either, in Montana's case, not sort of non-existent, and the Republicans are very strong and the only ones talking about issues that really matter to the working class. So we have a real opportunity to make a difference somewhere like Montana. So I really hope that there's a lot of folks who are here who are from lower population red states. Yeah, as a background, we were fighting LR 131. It is it was created by the legislature and then sent to be voted on as a ballot initiative. It's based on the lie that people are having late-term abortions and then leaving babies to die, which, as we know, happens. Just doesn't happen, and so it's just based on this medical myth, and then it also attacks the right to privacy, which is what protects abortion in Montana. So abortion is currently protected in Montana, but that's part of why we had to go after LR 131. And I would say, just speaking to the resources that we were able to access and the advice that we were able to access through national, to me, yeah, building the campaign as we're going, kind of the entire timeline seemed to me to be from Shauna, who I don't know if she's here, but she helped us a lot, and it was just every time it was like, well,
look
here's
at this.
You should get endorsed, and then you should
look at this. Look at this. Look at this. In Montana, 374,000 text messages sent, 6,600 supporters ID'd, 70 volunteers. Yo, that's significant. That's significant.
For this grant, and now you should set up an Act Blue. And so we were just kind of moving through the tasks that were coming down. Yeah, Shauna is I think of her as our campaign fairy godmother.
I don't know the answer to that, Red Room Dicecast. That's a great question.
We did have a solid campaign crew of about 6 core members.
Yo,
and then about,
it's true.
10 of us that met up basically every week from September on. And I point that out just because, yeah, that was a statewide crew. So that included members from around the state. And yeah, we're all just kind of getting off the ground here in Montana. So I didn't want anybody to have the perception that we have these.
They're just getting off the ground in Montana, and already they have candidates winning in Montana. In Montana. Are you kidding?
Big, robust chapters that are already going. We were really kind of pulling this together as we went. We picked LR 131 because we thought we could win. We knew it would build our base. And we also knew we could model off of Kansas. And we did decide to focus on just text banking. That's what we thought we had the capacity for. We did apply for a grant through the NEC, and that was huge. That was where most of our funding came from. And I mean, yeah, I just think it's so amazing that DSA is funded by dues-paying members like all of us. And I, just to be working here in Montana and then know that the national organization looked at the work we were doing, prioritized it, and gave us this huge grant to run our campaign was just really inspiring and invigorating. We ran 4 different text banks. We did organize about 70 volunteers total, so that includes national DSA members. We had like a solid crew of folks that came to, I think, multiple different text banks, but also we had, I think, a lot of really good luck recruiting our friends, our coworkers, which is awesome because now that's just a great list of people that we can turn to continue to try and onboard them and recruit them to DSA. And also just a core of close DSA comrades that we knew we could count on here. So that really allowed us to just have consistently, like, I think every text bank we had at least 20 people there, which was like, Planned Parenthood doesn't pull off that kind of thing. I'm just, at least not in Montana. So as far as
should be
using the word
terrifying,
abortion
people.
goes, that
This
was
should
also
be
huge and where
terrifying,
we
people.
really benefited from national advice is that there was a mainstream coalition that was called Compassion for Montana Families, and they're awesome. They did a lot of good work, but also they didn't use the word abortion at all in any of their communications. And so Shauna really helped us remember that this was an abortion issue, which was easy to lose track of in everything else, actually. And so being connected to the organization nationally and our theory of change and our analysis of abortion was just really helpful for recruiting our base, basically. And yeah, I would say to anticipate some turfiness and scarcity mentality from mainstream centrist nonprofits, but if you have a clear coalition agreement, which we did not, but we will next time, that will help with that. And yeah, it was a great opportunity to level up. I mean, everybody leveled up. Our core campaign team learned a lot, but also I think it's important for people who are in politics to forget what it's like to just be a text banker or a canvasser that first time and how empowering that is. And I think it's important we give those opportunities to as many people as we can. So, and yeah, it is an honor to be here with y'all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Sandy, and all our comrades from Kentucky, Montana, and Kansas. So the abortion work that we just heard about is a really exciting example of how our work across the organization can build on each other, with chapters taking initiative, the national organization supporting with resources like toolkits, communications, organizer trainings, org tools, compliance, organizing advice, all these things, a national volunteer network for people to share information, and all of the work adding up to more than the sum of its parts. And it's especially good to shout it out now with all these wins, because this is work that followed through from the Protect Abortion work that started earlier this year with the nationally coordinated rapid response after the Supreme Court leak revealed that the rights from Roe versus Wade would be rolled back in the Dobbs decision. And that helped mobilize many of our chapters to channel the outrage against that decision and lead much more forcefully toward a more expansive universalist vision for reproductive rights and bodily autonomy than many liberal organizations or nonprofits, and certainly the Democratic Party, were prepared to do. And the organizing over many months since the spring laid the groundwork directly for many chapters to realize that ballot initiatives were a viable strategy to protect abortion rights, including in some of the
Gotta
reddest
share
states,
it. I'm
and
shadow
organize
banned to
and
high
lead
heaven on
as
YouTube,
DSA.
man. Share it out.
So just want to zoom out for a minute and talk a bit more about our ballot measures across the country that we supported from across the org.
If you like Socialism Saturday, we've been streaming for 3.5 hours. So audience numbers usually go down when you've been streaming, at least for me. We start off pretty good and then people trickle in and trickle out. It's Saturday night, man. I get it. You guys want to be doing fun things, but If you like Socialism Saturday, share it out, invite a friend. I don't do them every Saturday, but I try to do them most Saturdays that I'm available. Occasionally I have a life as well. But like, spread the word. I do think that Socialism Saturday is probably one of the more important streams I'm doing right now in terms of actually making sure people are informed about what these people are saying. But my channel is like shadow banned to high heaven. Like, people don't get notifications. I get mass batches of people unsubscribe from my channel every single night, always between 2 and 4 a.m. It is like clockwork. So we do the best we can, but just share it out. And these guys are blatantly in the open with their ideas. Why is no one else talking about these groups other than us? That is a really good question. We have scratched the surface of the amount of things that these people put out. I could literally do a socialism video every day for years with the amount of content that these people produce. It wouldn't even be hard. They are telling us every single thing they're doing. The problem is that no one is listening. So I'm trying to help people listen and make it fun and make it enjoyable and help them understand. But it is hard. We just got to spread the word, though. Do you think it's more important to find people like us that are kind of obsessed and turning them into it, or finding those who don't care? I think the easiest people to find in turn are the people who are obsessed. Listen, man, like, I am obsessed with all things dystopian. I love all things dystopian. I want to understand it. I consume that. And I always have. That's all. And that's probably why I got so interested in the woke left in the first place, because I've always been obsessed with this stuff. And once I got over the horror of it, and 2021 was a little bit of a tough year for me, I got to be honest. I was getting over a lot of horror. but like, I think that it's easy for us to find the people who are obsessed with it and get them into our group. And then we can try to bring other people in too. But this is real life 1984. I was saying this to Victor earlier. This is real life. This is the precursor to 1984, what these people are doing right here. So I appreciate those of you who are here. We've been watching 3.5 hours. We're going to wrap this up and then go on with the rest of our weekend. But yeah, let's try to get some more people into it. Let's spread the word.
As a bunch of folks mentioned, we directed grants of tens of thousands of dollars that gave many chapters an important organizing edge in ballot measures. Shout out to a few here. In Maine DSA, the Campaign for a Livable Portland, People First San Francisco, Yes for Rent Control. There are a bunch more examples that we didn't include here because we can only include so many great logos in one slide. But across all these campaigns, chapters passed or defeated ballot measures that improved the lives of 37.7 million people that are covered by the scope of what's included there across all these states. And many of these ballot measures were written by DSA chapters, and those improved the lives of 1.1 million of those people. And across the board, based on these wins, millions of people will see increased wages, better rent protection, stronger labor rights, and a continued right to abortion, thanks to these campaigns that were largely led by DSA, which is super exciting. So next up, we have a win that strikes pretty close to home for me. I started organizing in DSA with the Metro DC chapter in Washington, DC in 2017 with the Trump Pump. And one of the big exciting campaigns that our chapter ran that year, leading up to 2018, was called Initiative 77 to phase out the minimum wage exemption for service workers and tipped employees. And you'll be hearing more about that from comrades from DC in a minute. But just to summarize, in 2018, that campaign, which mobilized workers from across the state and was largely supported by the chapter, among other organizations, the measure passed with a margin of over 10%. It was really popular and it won. But then in October of that year, just a few months later,
Drew.
that
Let me know if there's something you want me to
by the city
read.
council before it was enacted.
I appreciate
because the mayor and city council just decided that they actually did not support
Bye, Jan. Thank you for dropping by.
The majority of the voting population that supported them. So this year, in a nearly identical campaign, Initiative 82 was approved. This was a hugely DSA-powered campaign, and it's not just an exciting win, but it's a huge comeback story for workers in our nation's capital.
Just keep practicing, Patty.
So I'll hand
Everyone
it over
sucks
to
at first. Don't worry
my
about it.
comrades
Just keep
Aparna
practicing.
and Bakari to tell you more about that.
Thanks, Ashik. And can I have video enabled as well? And Bakari as well. Awesome. So thank you again, everybody. And thanks, Ashik. My name's Aparna. I use she, her pronouns. I'm on the steering committee of the Metro DC DSA chapter and was the Initiative 82 lead for our chapter as well. And so if we can go to the next slide. As Ashik said, Initiative 82 was focused on phasing out the sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. So right now, all tipped workers in DC, restaurant workers, nail technicians, car valets, any tipped worker are only required to be paid $5.35 an hour with tips on top. DC's regular minimum wage right now is $16 an hour. So Initiative 82, now that it's passed, will phase out the sub-minimum wage gradually over the course of 5 years until tipped workers are at parity with non-tipped workers, and they'll still get tips on top. So it'll be at least $16 an hour by 2028, because DC also does cost of living increases for wages as well. And if we go to the next slide, Ashik already gave very helpful background on Initiative 77 and all of the personal motivation around getting this passed again. But to provide some overview of this particular initiative, in 2021, a coalition of nonprofits, including One Fair Wage and the Committee to Build a Better Restaurant Industry.
Let me take this super chat from Sci-Fi Horizons. Thank you for the super chat. Have you read the dystopian novel We? I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. It was written in the 20s. I haven't, but I will definitely look into it. And thank you for the suggestion. I love dystopian fiction, so whatever you want to send me, I will probably take a look at. And actually, let me just ask the chat: what are some of your favorite dystopian like books or stories or movies? Because I know I had like you wouldn't be here if you didn't like this stuff. Let us know. I mean, I love. Ender's Game is probably one of my favorites. And fun fact, so my husband for my birthday, it was either my birthday or our anniversary. I'm pretty sure it was my birthday. My husband got me like a really nice leather-bound copy of Ender's Game signed by the author for my birthday one year. I love it, and it's so cool. I like Ender's Game. I mean, 1984, obviously. I like The Hunger Games. I know people might not like it's cheesy. I understand that. It's teenage dystopia, but I still like it. Yeah, Equilibrium is great. That's a great movie. I don't like Blade Runner. Oh my god, I don't like. Oh god, I don't like. I didn't like Road Warrior. I really like. What is the newest Mad Max movie? I forget the one. I forget what it's called, but I love like the newest one. Logan's Run is all right. That's all right. Fury Road. Yes. I like that one. Anyway, so much great dystopia out there. Send in your suggestions in the chat.
Wrote the ballot language and it proposed the ballot initiative and started collecting the majority of the signatures.
Yes, Harrison Bergeron. Yes,
in DC,
absolutely.
You have to get at least 5% of eligible voters to sign a petition to get an initiative on the ballot. So it's very cost prohibitive because it also has to happen in a very
Divergent
quick timeline.
is not bad.
And that comes out to about 26,000
goes off the
signatures
rails
that
at the
are
end.
required. We endorsed Initiative 82 in December 2021, and then right coming back from Christmas and New Year's in January, hit the ground running with our own petition circulator work that got 1,500 signatures collected from eligible DC voters, and was what actually pushed the ballot initiative over the threshold to get it onto the DC ballot. We got over 50 unique petition circulators trained up in our chapter. Again, we're able to get the ballot on. We were pretty confident this time around that the DC Council, if/when Initiative 82 is passed, wouldn't overturn it, largely because in the 4 years since Initiative 77 happened, our chapter flipped 2 of those seats that had voted to overturn it last time, and those seats are now held by DSA endorsed candidates, Janice Lewis-George and Zachary Parker. And like Ashik said, Initiative 82 won. We were able to increase the vote the win margin by about 20 points. So Initiative 77 passed by 55%, Initiative 82 passed by 74% and won every single precinct in DC. And the highest areas of support were largely in lower income areas and areas that are predominantly Black people, Latinx, and other people of color. And just at the bottom are some overall stats. So for Initiative 82, from about August to November, our chapter knocked 18,000 doors. Between our Zachary Parker campaign in the—
They did a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff was done. I'm sorry, I can't listen to them talk about this anymore. I just want to make sure there's not any like lessons at the end or something. Okay, field strategy.
Hi, I took most of this call from a show, so I'm out of the show now. So it's extra DC themed.
Oh,
I'm
Starship
looking at
Troopers
the
is so good. Classic.
Washington Monument right now. I don't know if you can see. But yes, National was incredibly important in, helping our field operation be as effective as possible. We couldn't have knocked as many doors as we did if we didn't have access to minivans, and National was key in getting that to us, and also funding our field operation, and getting us literature, and all the other resources we needed. So we definitely kind of standardize our canvassing operations from the interest form that led to a Google Sheet of all of the people who were interested in volunteering for different canvassing, for our different campaigns, to our list of text bankers who texted all of the people who are indicated interest and got people out to knock doors. And I was part of the
good choices. Good choices. I agree with that. RoboCop, yes. Yes.
We tried to get
classic.
to
#1 best movie of all time. RoboCop.
A combination of low income, lots of people of color, renters, and people who voted in favor of Initiative 77. Areas where that was disproportionately the case were the ones we targeted to get out the vote.
Classic. Running Man, yes.
And we were able to, do that research and then target those areas and list and van. And then one of my jobs was putting the turf to send the lists out to our canvassers and launch the canvasses on those weekends. So yeah, it was definitely a lot more. It's the most involved I've been. I'm very new to this. Is my first field operation, but I can tell that we're only going to get bigger. And this is our first citywide campaign, but it won't be our last. And yeah, I'm excited to see where we go. Is there anything else we wanted to cover?
No, you got it all, I think. Yeah, thanks.
I think that's it for us.
Yeah, we can turn it over to whoever's closing.
Yes, close out and give us your final
Thank
thoughts.
you so much, Aparna Bakari, everybody who joined us, all of you who joined the call tonight, and of course to our speakers who are showing us not only how to win, but how to win DSA style in every corner of the country. Now, while the snaps and claps are always welcome, I see people popping off in the chat, really, giving everyone their flowers, their roses. One of the best ways to support the work of the organizers on this call is to join the largest socialist organization in the country. We need you to do your part in world building and building the left, and organization is our best tool in this fight against the right. So that's right. If you're not a member of DSA
I like that
yet,
one.
Here's the sign that you've been waiting for. You can sign up at dsausa.org/join. That's dsausa.org/.
All right. I guess they're just shilling now. So we're going to wrap it up. Guys, I think one of the number one takeaways I have for tonight is not just that we've got a lot of lovers of dystopia in the chat, which I think is great. You guys have given so many great suggestions. I actually haven't heard of some of these suggestions, and so I'm really excited to explore some of them. But one of the things that was very striking to me about watching communists right next to socialists is how much more engaging socialists are. They're younger, they have more energy. That's the impact of Bernie Sanders right there, which is ironic because Bernie Sanders is 806 years old. But like, that's all Bernie Sanders doing. I don't think we have a lot to worry about in regards to the communists, but the socialists should scare the living hell out of us. The communists are not winning elections in the United States. The socialists are. And they're younger and they're more engaging and they're talking about all the same issues the communists are talking about. Here's the thing. They're not really any different. Not significantly. The socialists, generally speaking, believe exactly the same things as the communists do. But they're presenting it in a way that it's just sharing. We're just sharing. So I think that that's something to be aware of. And I think it's something that we should really keep in mind. Like they're winning because of that strategy. I learned a lot tonight in terms of just thinking about how they're presenting the issues and what they really care about. You can tell they're going to keep hammering the abortion drum. That's the biggest thing. They're going to keep hammering the abortion drum. They now know that they can win elections by talking about abortion and that nothing else matters if they just talk about abortion, okay? And Republicans and conservatives and pro-lifers need to take this seriously. They really do. If you are in those communities or you know people that are in those communities, you need to explain to them that if they keep this up, if they do not deviate from the course that they are on, if they do not drop the abortion issue, then they are going to continue to lose every election for the rest of their lives. Someone needs to explain this to them. I've tried. Apparently, I have been told that I am a plant. I am just around to sabotage the right. That's my only reason for being, apparently. Except that I'm telling you guys how to win. Like, explicitly. But I need your help in this. I really, really do. Because there are still so many people that don't understand this. And if people don't start wrapping their heads around it, we might as well not even do anything else, to be honest. Because we are handing every election victory to them on a silver platter. And ain't nothing gonna stop it. So, guys, we do Socialism Saturday on Saturdays at around 6 p.m.-ish. Sometimes I'm a little flexible in the time, depending on if I'm actually having a weekend or not. But that's all we have for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And again, remember tomorrow, we do have movie night. Hang on. Watching a great dystopian classic of They Live in the supporter Discord at 8 p.m. If you become a member of the channel, I will send out the Discord link on the community tab on the channel tomorrow. If you join my Patreon or my locals, which you can find by going to activelyunwoke.com/support, you can find my Patreon link, my locals link, and actually, if you're a paid supporter on my Substack, the Discord link is there as well. If you have any problems with it, just let me know. Just send me an email. But Patreon and locals are generally the best places to support, I think. So make sure you join one of those. And you can join us for movie night tomorrow at 6 or at 8 p.m. Martinator, thank you for the super chat. I think socialism doesn't seem to have the same association to great tragedy like communism does. What a great insight, Martinator. I agree with you completely. Even though the Nazis were the National Socialist German Workers' Party and agreed on abortion, I completely agree with you. Real socialism hasn't been tried. It doesn't have the same stigma as communism. You're 100%. It's almost like they're rebranding, isn't it? Like how critical race theory became culturally responsive teaching. Isn't that funny how that works? No, I think it's a great point. But guys, join us for movie night tomorrow at 8 p.m. And also make sure, I'm even more excited about this discussion than I was before, since I've been watching Unabomber stuff like last night and today. I think we're going to have a great chat about the Unabomber Manifesto on December 3rd in book club, in my community. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Make sure you pick up your copy. You can find it on the internet wherever you want, or you can get a copy from Amazon if you prefer like a written version. But definitely get your copy and join us for book club on December 3rd. Guys, that's all I have for tonight. See you tomorrow for movie night for They Live in my supporter Discord, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys. Take care.